Hey, Justin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, Dale, loud and clear. Go ahead, bud.
All right, Justin, our first question comes from our mailbag. Ed in Scotia, New York asks, with this being your first day race at Charlotte Speedway, what can you expect to be different from the night races you ran here the last couple of years?
Fortunately for us, the day races that we usually get to come to, the practice time we get when we go to a night race is usually during the day. And a couple of weeks ago, I was actually fortunate enough to get to do the cup test while we were here, so it was during the day as well. So just work on trying to make your car comfortable. That's the biggest thing when we're out there running.
Okay, you have a limited amount of experience here, Justin. What do you find the most challenging part of this racetrack?
I think the biggest thing is just finding a line that works for you. The track changes a lot. It's very temperature sensitive, so being able to make sure you keep open the car and the racetrack at the same time is definitely important. But while we're at it, I want to say that a big shout out to everybody that's out there in our armed forces. That some of them have fought and died for our country, and this is a weekend for them. This is Memorial Weekend, and they do what they do so we can be out here loving the sport that we do. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody out there.
Well said, Justin. Thanks, buddy. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Chad Walter.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Chad, Andy up in the booth. You got us?
10-4, Andy. How you doing today?
Hey, pretty good. We were talking about getting started here that qualifying speed's really high. This new tire that Goodyear brought looks like it's a good qualifying tire. Is it going to be a challenge to get it right, do you think?
Goodyear really brought a good, durable, grippy tire here. Speeds were up this morning in low track temperatures, and looks like we'll have some opportunities to maybe do some two-tire stuff, keep them out, maybe gas only, so pit strategy will be real critical here today.
Okay, Chad, we'll be watching. Good luck, and thanks for talking to us.
All right, in addition to Justin Allgaier, we will have 7 other high-definition onboard cameras we'll ride with throughout the day, ranging from Trevor Bain, lower right, who will start on the front row, starting position number 2 in that 99 car with the Nationwide insurance camera, all the way back to Brendan Gaughan, just above him, who's going to start back in 41st position. And oh, by the way, center top row, Kyle Busch, winner of 3 of the last 4 of these Nationwide races here at Charlotte, will be riding with him throughout the day, too. And our over-the-wall reporter today is Austin, Texas native James Davis, the jackman for Michael Annett and the 15 team, who, appropriately enough, on this Memorial Weekend, is a veteran of the United States Air Force who served overseas in the Middle East conflicts. James, thank you very much for your service, and be safe today. All right, some final stories from pit road. Let's go first to Mike Massaro. What do you got, Michael?
Well, Alan, speaking with Jamie McMurray's crew chief, Tony Uri Sr., you get a sense of frustration. He told me they feel like they're overdue. They've got good equipment, they've got a good driver, and they should be winning races. Thus far in 2010, however, they've been shut out. Will today be the day they get to victory lane? Well, I spoke with McMurray just after practice on Thursday. He said since he's been with his team, this is the best they've been heading into a race. Confidence is high, and so is determination. Dave?
Mike, because a sponsor wrote a nice check earlier this year, Baker Curb Racing has been able to get the 27 car in all 11 races this year, but only 3 remain, including today. It also allowed him to get a championship-type driver like Greg Biffle, 12 years in NASCAR, 20 wins in the Nationwide Series. They need a new sponsor. Greg's hoping to give another sponsor a reason to come on board this car with a win today. Shannon?
Well, Dave, Ryan Newman making his 2nd consecutive start in the #1 James Finch-owned car here today. The team has a very fast car, and they have a ton of confidence, especially considering the fact that they finished 2nd in their first outing together at Dover. Now, speaking with crew chief Mark Reno today, he told me this team right now is only scheduled to race 7 more times after today's race. However, that could all change depending on what Ryan Newman wants to do. They said Ryan is their driver, the guy that they want. If he wants to enter more races, they'll give him the car. Alan?
That'd probably be a pretty good decision, too. Some of the numbers on the day: 1.5 mile track to get 300 miles. If my math is correct, that's 200 laps the distance.
Yeah, you got 45 miles an hour pit road speed, and pit winner looks like about 55 to 60 laps on fuel.
And a reminder that our broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. So after a pretty gloomy weather forecast all weekend long, the sun is shining, the temperature's warming into the 80s, and the field of 43 getting set to go 300 miles at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The NASCAR Nationwide Series is underway. Kevin Harvick in that 33. 3 wide in the first and second corner.
Check out Biffle there, the 27th car. He's making some headway.
I thought these guys might take it easy and kind of fill this racetrack out a little bit, but no such luck there. They're hard at it on the first lap.
Carl Edwards leads lap 1. It's Brad Keselowski second. The man sliding back is Trevor Bayne in that 99.
You see that number 1 of Ryan Newman and the 18 car. They were the best cars in practice. Kyle Busch. They seem to be 2 of the best cars in our earlier practice sessions.
And you mentioned Trevor Bayne there. I think that young man's just kind of taking it easy. He knows he has a fast race car, so he just kind of wanted to settle in right here, get himself in position where he feels comfortable right now.
His first ever time here at this racetrack and in a Nationwide Series race from the front row. Yikes.
Our in-race reporter there, Justin Allgaier, 3 wide. You can go 3 wide here, but you better start getting up trouble. Paul Menard into.
Man.
And more trouble as he comes down the track, and they're stacking up behind him.
There's Mark Green involved in the 70.
7 car in the middle of that storm. Steve Arpin, his first Nationwide Series race here at Charlotte. And I was thinking as you were talking, DJ, and they went off into turn 1 3 wide with a guy that's never been here before in the middle, that was not a recipe for good things to happen.
Mike Wallace is torn up.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of things when you're racing, you have to know who you're racing around and with. And, you know, they put him in a bad position there. I don't think that Steve Arpin did anything wrong. He was just getting back to the bottom of the racetrack. That was Paul Menard that maybe got into him down on the bottom. Like Paul tried to avoid him, but just caught the left rear.
Well, focus on the 3 wide going off into the corner.
I'm not sure. It was a contact earlier than that. I didn't see any right there.
Yeah, they were just getting down into the corner, and it was just slight contact, but, you know, at 180 miles an hour down into these corners, it doesn't take much.
So Mark Green and Mike Wallace tangle in behind. There it is.
Yeah, here they are.
There's your contact.
Yeah, and Paul Menard was up there further than I thought he was. That might have been a mistake on Steve Arpin's part there. He should know that car is there, or at least his spotter should be telling him.
That's pretty crowded, though, when they get there.
It is crowded, yeah. A lot happening.
So just a couple laps into the race, caution is out after Steve Arpin and Paul Menard tangle in turn 1. A couple of others caught up into the mess. We'll come back to Charlotte after this message and a word from our ABC stations. While we work the caution in Charlotte, we remind you that tomorrow, the Indianapolis 500, telecast presented by GoDaddy.com, noon Eastern Time on ABC. Sunday morning, NASCAR Now, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, previewing the 600 here in Charlotte on ESPN2. Then the NASCAR Nationwide Series moves on from today to Nashville. Primetime race next Saturday night. Qualifying's at 5:30 Eastern, and our race coverage presented by Pennzoil is at 7 Eastern, ESPN2. That's next weekend, and we cap it off next weekend with drag racing. The United Association Route 66 NHRA Nationals Finals. That is a week from Sunday at 4 Eastern on ESPN2. Working the first caution of the race that came out just a couple of laps in. A race for 10th position with a rookie driver, Steve Arpin, in the 7, trying to feel his way through it.
Yeah, a lot of hard racing here early on. I've never quite understood this. You know, we do have 200 laps, but see, Steve Arpin was the guy that got put in the middle. He thought that probably he was clear right there. A little mistake on his part, but things are pretty busy at that point in time.
Steve Arpin has gone to the garage. Dave?
With Steve now. Steve, you had a look at the replay there. What was going on with your car and what happened with the contact?
We just got real tight there through 3 and 4. I had to get out of the gas, let exit out of 4, and got stuck in the middle. Those guys are coming hard. They're really digging. Just looking at the replay there, I kind of came down on the 98. It looks like kind of pinched him, and he looked like he did everything he could do to not get in my left rear corner. I just kind of squeezed him a little bit too hard there. It was a bad deal.
Tough weekend for Steve. A horrible practice, great qualifying run, and then a quick end to his day. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. Started 7th.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he needed some seat time here and just got himself in a bad spot here.
3 of his 4 Nationwide Series starts, Steve Arpin's been involved in an accident. That's a tough way to go. And by the way, early caution, very predictable here. That's the 8th time in the last 9 races the first yellow came before lap 15.
Yeah, these guys like to get at it right away, don't they?
The question is, will the second yellow come
before
on
15 laps?
Double file restart as we get set to put the TechNet Auto Service 300 powered by CarQuest back underway. Scott having trouble getting going, and it's going to cause trouble. Annette spins around. Another spin behind him.
Looks like Stenhouse is involved.
Boy.
He's the second car of the week for him. Oh, what a bad break.
Oh, boy. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
It looked like the 11 car just did not get going there.
Yep. And there's the 09 car of Chad McCumbee. With some troubles getting going there. We saw David Gilliland in the 91 also spun around, though it looked like he got away without hitting anything. And there's where it all started.
Probably a transmission
coasting.
problem, or either might have got the rear end gear.
Yeah, it could be any kind of the drivetrain, anything in there. He doesn't get a scratch. He got all these other cars torn up because of it. But you see here on the replay, I mean, these cars, when they take off now, they're accelerating really hard. And when somebody doesn't go, just like right there, you don't have a lot of time to react.
Yeah, I'm saying that looked more like a missed gear, and maybe it was because of something in the transmission, but it tore it up. See, Michael Annette's pretty lucky right there. He got spun around but didn't hit anything, or didn't get hit.
And Stenhouse in the back is way in the back. He's 32nd at the time, and by the time that the jam up happens, somebody drives him right into the wall.
Yeah, Jamie Murray in the 88 did a fantastic job. A situation like that, as Andy said, you're wide open in the throttle, easy to run over somebody in a hurry.
This is on board with Stephen Wallace.
And see, Steven does a great job here, too. I mean, he's got cars coming on both sides and avoids that car that's not going.
Now, this is where Stenhouse gets wrinkled up, I think. This is with Brendan Gaughan.
Oh, yeah. You got it both sides. Brendan Gaughan got a significant amount of damage there on the right side, looks like. That's tough. Those kind of wrecks right there kill me. Yeah, now they got a traffic jam trying to get to the garage.
I don't mean to laugh, really, but it just strikes me as funny that we've had so many cars torn up in the first 10 laps of this thing. They got to get them all hauled off to the garage. So, 2 words. Big mess. We're under caution again here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as some managed to avoid the trouble, but a few others didn't.
And welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, where we are under caution again for the second time in just 10 laps inside the pit studio. But we'll take a look at how this happened on the restart. As we were just discussing, double file restarts, they make it exciting, but this is what causes a little bit of the caution. Keep an eye on the 11 car with Brian Scott.
Yeah, it seems like Brian couldn't quite get going and spun the tires and just really jammed up the entire field. You see Michael Annette get spun around, and then all chaos broke out, and the double file restart strikes again when someone doesn't get going.
A lot of cars taken to the garage already. Like we said, already 2 cautions for 7 laps, just 10 laps completed. Inside the ESPN pit studio, I'm Nicole Briscoe, along with Brad Doherty, and with us all day today, we have a very special guest, the 2003 Nationwide Series champion, Mr. Brian Vickers. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, you were supposed to be in the car today. You can't. You're out the rest of the season. How are you feeling?
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm feeling fine. I feel good enough that I want to be in that race car, but unfortunately I can't be. You know, I'm going to be the big kicker is the blood thinner. I'm going to be on blood thinner for 6 months.
What will happen, Brian, as time goes on? Will you just kind of ease your way back into this thing? Do you know definitely that you're not going to be racing anymore, or is there hope that you will be racing after a 6 month period of time?
Yeah, I will be racing after 6 months.
Okay.
I mean, everything that we know so far, I mean, we can't predict the future, but everything we know so far, I'm going to be out for 6 months. Okay. I'll be back at the Daytona 500, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be back at the Daytona 500. It's a good one to come back for. It's a good one to come back for. Actually, I'll probably hopefully be in the nationwide race, Saturday before the
countdown is on to that, and the countdown is actually back on to green, because I think we're going to go back to green finally.
Oh, good.
Brian will be with us all afternoon, so let's head back upstairs to the booth. Alan Bestwick, please take it away.
Well, here's the big question, Nicole. How long will we be under green?
Yeah, really.
Please, more than 2 laps.
Get going.
It's been a little bit of a halting start here, but we're going to try again as Carl Edwards will bring this field back to the green. A 3rd time today, he'll lead the field to a green flag, and this will be the 3rd different driver to his outside for the 3 restarts.
Yeah, but he has chosen that inside lane once again. This worked very well. He's gotten 2 good starts so far.
Casey Kane in the 38 to his outside.
Clear high. Still all clear. Looking high. Looking high. Got the 22 with you now. He's about.
One thing I think we've seen on these first few restarts, that outside lane is not very kind right now.
Well, the leader does have the advantage on that start, and even if I think he was on the outside, you might see some of that, but it does look like they're going to be choosing that inside lane.
Trevor Bayne, Ryan Newman, 99 and 1. That's for 5th and 6th spots.
This position, you really have to be careful as a driver getting down into these corners over 180 miles an hour on the inside. Air being taken off of your spoiler by being down there, you have to be careful not to get loose and then trying to correct you up into the car on the outside of you.
Here's a guy that's really been on the move in the opening laps. Kevin Harvick in that 33. He's racing for 11th spot here. Started back in 18th.
Yeah, he was first car out qualifying, so probably hurt him somewhat to do that. We didn't see Kevin at Dover have his typical race. They struggled a little bit there, and so it'd be interesting to see if they can rebound from that. This is going to be his last nationwide race for a little bit, too.
All right, after Carl Edwards got away by a couple of car lengths, things are tightening up front.
Yeah, that 22 car's coming now with Brad Keselowski. See him now working on the outside, trying to get a little advantage on Carl.
And don't look, but here comes Kyle. The 18
Oh, you know he's going to be there.
Yeah, what we're seeing already is these guys fanning out, running bottom, middle, top of this racetrack. It's going to make for great racing. I think the combination of this racetrack during the day and the tire that Goodyear's brought here is going to provide some really exciting moments for us.
Oh, boy. That is Ryan Newman in the 1. Had Joey Logano tucked underneath him. And speaking of tucked underneath,
there goes Keselowski for the lead.
And you can see Carl's not going to challenge that move right now. That we're later in the race, he might try to get back to the outside and hold Brad down there. Way too early for that for these guys.
So, new leader, Brad Keselowski, Mike.
And Alan, he's doing it in a little bit of pain, too. For those folks who are paying attention to Sprint Cup qualifying earlier in the weekend, you saw Brad Keselowski hit the wall awfully hard. I tried to have a conversation with him during pre-race introductions today about how he's feeling. He said he's sore. I asked him what hurts. He pointed to his mouth. He can barely talk. His helmet got jammed up in his face, his jaw awfully sore. Fortunately for him, he's letting his car do the talking for him right now, guys.
It's talking pretty well, and as we watch Clint Boyer in the 21 try and come forward on Stephen Wallace in the 66, this for 12th spot. DJ, you ever had that happen? You've been in wrecks at this racetrack where you've hit the wall hard and hurt things and had to come back and race the next day.
No, it makes for, a long weekend, and Brad's got 900 miles of hard racing here. This is a very physically demanding racetrack, too. Because of the 24 degrees of banking, it really sets you over in the seat, so he's going to have his work cut out these next 2 days. We see Justin Allgaier trying to make a move on Trevor Bayne.
And right behind them, that 32 car, that was the car Brian Vickers was scheduled to drive today. That's Reed Sorensen, with whom he was sharing and scheduled to share that car during the season. Reed now going to take over the races that Brian is not able to be in.
Yeah, and Reed looking to take advantage of this opportunity. This race car has run well with Reed driving it. When Brian was driving it, they had opportunities to win races, so Reed's going to try to make the most of this and see if he can get this team to victory lane.
Hey, see, just behind this group, Clint Boyer now. He started 26th. He's making a lot of headway towards the front.
And Allgaier and Greg Biffle there. Yeah, that's
Allgaier,
7th.
Yeah, really making that bottom side work. You can see Biffle's choosing that higher line. He'll get a nice run off the corner, but Justin Allgaier looks like his car's really working the bottom of the racetrack. Dave, what are they saying about this 12 car?
Well, this great battle continues. The 12 car just reported in, a little tight on the bottom, a little loose on the top. Maybe that's why he chose the bottom. Greg Biffle's car has been tight, not cutting the corner. DJ, would you take your car to the top in that case?
Yeah, a lot of times you can do that, especially if you want to turn the steering wheel as little as possible, and you can search around, get a little bit of grip there too, and you don't have to turn the wheel as much.
Would you take it that far? Man, he is right up against that wall.
Hey, yeah, Greg Biffle, we've seen, is fearless, and he likes to get up there and hang this thing out, so he's figured out that he can make some more time. You see, now he's going back by Justin Allgaier.
Man, that looks like fun.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at that.
That's got to be fun, Dale.
Oh, this place is a blast. When you have a car that you're capable of doing that with, it is so much fun. Make the racetrack a little longer, but it's a blast to do.
And 3 wide behind them, that's Harvick and Sorensen and Bayne.
The 32 is starting to move to the front, but I don't know if 3 wide is where you want to be.
I'll tell you, Brian is one of those I've seen up against that wall, too.
Exactly what I was going to say, Andy. You can speak well to that, can't you, Brian, getting up there against the wall?
I tell you, you said it best, DJ. Yes, when your car's not handling, you can really find a lot of grip up to the wall. You see a lot of guys really running up there tight, and and they're looking for clean track, you know, something that's not too rubbered up, where there's still a little bit of grip left. But you got to be careful. You chase clean track too far, and you're going to be right in the fence.
Hey, Brian, do you have to change your driving style as far as where you let off the throttle, get back on the throttle, and going up top?
Yeah, you really do. I think you have to change the way you drive the car a lot, and you really have to adapt to the car as well. And you have to pace yourself. You have to be very cautious. It's like racing at Darlington every lap. As that car starts to give up grip, if the tires start to go away, you have to know that. And if you go in there just a little bit too hard, you don't get a little tight or get a little loose, you'll hit the wall. And you know, and that's the key to running up top, is being able to make those minor adjustments as the race goes on and as the tires wear.
Brian Vickers, former NASCAR Nationwide Series champion, joining us in the pit studio as we watch the 32 car run at the moment in 9th position. Out in front, Brad Keselowski, the only driver currently running in the top 5 without a Nationwide Series win at Charlotte. He is the series championship leader. You're watching ESPN on ABC. And the Texas Rangers head north to take on the Minnesota Twins on ESPN2 Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Then on Tuesday night at 7 Eastern, it's Ryan Howard and the Phillies facing their National League East rivals, the Atlanta Braves, on ESPN. Major League Baseball, ESPN and ESPN3.com, Sunday and Tuesday. And here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, riding along with a young man who started on the outside of the front row, Trevor Bain. And Dave, he's slipped all the way back to 14th.
Well, the biggest word that he's used to describe that race car is N-U-M-B, numb, and that means it will not turn. And so while everyone was moving forward, he was moving backward, hoping for a caution flag and a pit stop here early on. Now, the last caution flag was brought out, unfortunately, by a multi-car incident involving Brian Scott. Brian's with us now. And Brian, it looked like some sort of a slow restart. What was going on with your car?
Well, during practice, we had a transmission problem. Some of the transmission bolts were left loose. They worked themselves out, and you know, I felt something when I pulled out on the racetrack during practice, and the transmission was moving around. Came in, they figured out the bolts came loose, they put new bolts in, but unfortunately in NASCAR you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you have a problem with your motor or transmission or something significant. You can't just change something, and it was questionable. I felt pretty uneasy about the transmission, but we couldn't prove it that it had done any damage because we ran after that. And, you know, when you run things as hard as you run here in NASCAR, you're going to test the breaking points of things. And unfortunately, we found the breaking point in our Levine Children's Hospital Toyota today. We had a really fast car, and I was really looking forward and really excited to represent the kids in the hospital. And I hate that this happened, but, you know, unfortunately, mistakes can ruin your day.
Update for Brian Scott, Alan.
Yeah, Brian, part of a whole parade to the garage in the early laps, all but 2 of them. Because of the accidents we had in the first 7 laps of this race. 2 wrecks. You've got Danny O'Quinn, Dennis Setzer, Brian Scott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., David Gilliland, Josh Wise, Steve Arpin, Mark Green, and Mike Wallace, all in the garage, and all but 2 of them because of the 2 wrecks.
I guess they heard how difficult this track was in the daylight. They just said, we don't want to be a part of that.
Watching Jamie McMurray running here back in 12th position. Mike?
And Alan, talking with his crew chief, Tony Uri Sr., before the race, he told me the biggest challenge today, keeping the car turning, and that's exactly what they're experiencing so far. McMurray saying he can really charge the entry, but starts the push in the middle of the turn. Shannon?
Guys, Jason Leffler had a terrible qualifying effort. He qualified 40th, but I spoke with him today. He told me that the car was good. They just had a really bad lap. This team is looking to get back on track. They've had 2 very solid weeks, top 5 finishes in the last 2 races. Leffler told me he definitely thinks he can battle back in the top 5 at points this season. Guys?
Man, he's gained 28 spots since the start of the race.
Now, Leffler is a teammate to Brian Scott, and they were talking about some transmission worries on that 10 car, so that'd be something to keep an eye on as this day goes on. We've been watching leader Brad Keselowski here, trying to get around some of these cars. He's trying to put a lap down. And the best words I can describe were coming out of my mouth while you were listening to Shannon were, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see a lot of cars really struggling, and you get in a situation like this, Brad's doing a great job right here of just being patient and not trying to push the issue. He doesn't want to make these guys make a mistake right in front of him and kind of take him out then.
Yeah, you see on the right side of the screen, Greg Biffle goes by Ryan Newman. Ryan's slipping back a little.
See Casey Kane here.
Yeah, as while Keselowski was going through that traffic, and we were covering some of these other stories, Casey Kane got up into second place around Carl Edwards, and in this lap traffic has erased a 1.5-second deficit to that 22 car.
think Brad's been careful trying to get by these lap cars. You know, Casey's car's been fast too, though. This is his opportunity to make up a little ground.
Heard the story on NASCAR Countdown of Casey's visit to Fort Hood in Texas and racing for the Soldiers this weekend here in Charlotte and again at Daytona, 4th of July weekend. Champion Brian Vickers of this series in 2003 with us down in the pit studio. And Brian, you were probably doing the same thing I was doing watching that traffic, saying, careful, careful.
I was. You know, Brad did a good job working his way through there. You see the negatives of that situation where he lost a lot of ground that he had on second place, but you've got to be careful. You know, you get in a situation like that, you get impatient, and mistakes can be made very easily, especially in lap traffic, because they're going to lap down for a reason. The cars are not handling well, and if you put them in a bad position, you're going to be in a bad position.
And you see Justin Allgaier right here passing Kyle Busch. Now, Justin's got a good car, but Kyle's he's struggling a little bit in this run.
Yeah. Anytime you can be passing Kyle Busch, though, it's a good thing. You got to know that you're somewhere close from. But really impressed with Justin Allgaier and this race team. This car is really moving forward. Looks like it's hooked up. And I've seen him run the bottom and the top.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th you're looking at right there. Now back to that lap traffic thing just a minute. Brian and DJ, what are you expecting the lap car to do? What lane are you expecting him to give you?
Well, I mean, they tell the lap cars as you're approaching to go to the inside and give you room to the outside. That's not always the case, though, Brian. You have to kind of pay attention ahead and see what their car's doing. A lot of times they're not handling well because they're sliding up the racetrack.
Yeah, you really do. I think a lot of it is just looking ahead, looking down the racetrack, seeing what kind of line they prefer, and hopefully making sure your car can work around that line. One thing that I've done with my spotter before is he's really good about kind of watching farther ahead and keeping an eye on the lap cars, seeing which way they prefer, which lane they prefer to give up to the leaders. So that way when you get to him, he has a better idea. He relays that information and you make the most of it.
See Joey Logano wrestling with some of that traffic, trying to get through as well. Logano running in 4th spot in the 20 car. Meanwhile, up front, it is Brad Keselowski. In the 22, he took the lead at lap 16. We're at lap number 40 now. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. It is the TechNet Auto Service 300 powered by CarQuest for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Charlotte Motor Speedway on a nice and sunny Memorial Weekend afternoon. After kind of shaky weather forecasts all week, Mother Nature has very much cooperated, and Brad Keselowski is enjoying the conditions more than anyone. He's opened up again a 1-second lead. Look at this race for 3rd spot.
Look at this. This is what I love about daytime racing. Look at this big run that Biff gets on the top. Wow. Passed them both.
5th to 3rd, no problem.
You can see how that move right there just powers you down the straightaway, too.
I'm not believing that. Look, he pulled those guys 6 car lengths down that straightaway.
So Greg Biffle to 3rd, Justin Allgaier through Joey Logano to 4th. Logano in the 20 back to 5th. And off of turn 4, Kyle Busch slowing. Now we're coming up on what would be green flag pit stops, but this certainly would have to be early, wouldn't it?
A little bit early, but like I say, he's struggling a little bit, needs to get that car adjusted.
Dave, what do you got?
Alan, 7 laps ago, Kyle came on the radio and said, right front feels funny. That's when the crew leapt to attention, thought he might come in right then, but he stayed out for another 6 laps, and then he brought the 18 car in. It has been tight. It has been possibly abusing that right front tire, and Kyle felt like they needed to come in. They pull a spring rubber from the left rear, try to make that car turn better.
Yeah, they need to get that thing adjusted, and like I say, that's the good thing about having a veteran driver like Kyle Busch. He said, hey, I don't like what we've got. We need to fix it.
And you're Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief. Kyle says,
hey, you bring it right now.
Yeah, there you go. So now let's just set the perspective for Kyle Busch. He just needs this thing to run green till everybody else pits, and then he's right back in the hunt.
Yeah, and they took a little extra time on a green flag stop to get that rubber out of there, so they must have had a real problem, a little bit more to take, probably just a second and a half, 2 seconds more.
We'll check on where Kyle falls back into the scoring line here in just a minute while we watch. Oh, no. Kyle Busch. Now it doesn't work in his favor.
No, this is not good.
Too fast exiting. Kyle Busch will have to do a pass-through penalty on pit road.
Yeah, it was one thing to make an early green flag stop, but to get a penalty now, this will be a lot harder to dig your way out of. Although if they'd have somebody that could do it, it would be Kyle Busch and this team, but it's not what they are looking for.
What NASCAR's telling us is that in the second to last segment on pit road, He was timed at 50.44 miles per hour electronically.
That's just barely over.
You're only allowed 50 miles an hour, so he'll be coming in to do a pass-through penalty in just a minute. So Kyle right now is 31st place, a lap down. Doing the pass-through penalty is going to put him 2 laps down, and now he's going to have some work to do. So Greg Biffle running in third as these other lead cars approach what should be green flag pit stops, Dave.
Alan, it won't be long for the 27. And one of the most common things we see is a crew member to put a wrench in the right side windows, but there's 2 holes there. Tim Brewer from the Craftsman Tech Garage explains which is which and what they do.
When you see a crew member come over to the right side of the car to make an adjustment, when he's up here at the top of the window, he's actually adjusting the wedge in the race car, changing the weight distribution from the right front to the left front. But when you see him back in this area right here, he's actually adjusting the track bar. And what that's doing is lowering the track bar, enabling the car to be tighter through the center of the corner and off.
And the only difference for Biffle is that the crew member will turn it in a counterclockwise direction, raising the track bar to try to loosen up that race car. Guys?
Yeah, it works both ways. If you can get that track bar higher, it'll definitely free the car up.
So some things to watch for on this upcoming round of pit stops. There's Kyle Busch making the pass-through penalty. So we'll see after the cycle of pit stops, really, if it stays green, we'll really see where this puts him in line. We won't know for maybe 10 laps or so.
Yeah, the one thing that could really hurt him is to have a caution flag right now, because he'll have all of that distance now. It'll have to make up. These cars now making green flag pit stops. You see the 10 cars in, Shannon.
Yeah, Jason Leffler pulls that car in. The car is good, you guys. He has moved up from 40th position. You see they're going to take 4 tires, no changes for Jason Leffler. He's happy with that car, guys.
Now that was from 10th place that Leffler pitted there. And so the first of the leaders, besides Kyle Busch, to make the move to pit road. And we'll see when Brad Keselowski and some of the others follow. And Andy, if you're the crew chief of that lead car, you're sitting there balancing your fuel mileage calculation versus the fact that you really want to stay out as long as you can here,
yeah,
right?
you do. You want to stay out there as long as you can, but you definitely don't want to stretch it to where you run out of fuel or even make the engine sputter. So you're going to be a little conservative on this first stop.
Justin Allgaier losing a little ground there. Ryan Newman in the 1 is going to get up there and race with him now for 5th and 6th place.
Yeah, and Justin may be at situation. He's coming into the pits now, so we see these pit stops starting to happen.
Yeah,
but
we're
probably got a little tight
now.
Yeah.
So Allgaier will give up the 6th position for his pit stop. You watch his teammate continuing to lead the race on the right, Brad Keselowski, and Dave Burns covers the 12th stop.
Our in-race reporter brings it to a stop perfectly on the mark there. Remember, for him, it was tight on the bottom of the track and loose on the top of the track. You see the crew member going to the rear window again with the wrench. It'll be a 4-tire change for Justin Allgaier. Again, trying to make basically 2 adjustments on it. Oh, the little trouble on the front there, trying to get the lug nuts on, and he pulled away just a little bit too soon and fell off the jack. And so now they've got an issue jacking it back up and try to get that left rear on. They do, and then they get away from pit road. Shannon.
Well, down right now, Kevin Harvick. This team cannot wait to get out of the month of May. They said these tracks are the worst for Harvick. He says he needs more grip right now on the racetrack. 4 tires for the 33 car. He's down and away, guys.
And the leader, Brad Keselowski, comes on to pit road. Carl Edwards also in, getting service from his team. You've got Ryan Newman in. Reed Sorensen is in. Casey Kane is in as well. Cover stop for us.
Yeah, and Carl Edwards still a little bit tight. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on the right front. Also, they'll raise the track bar. Meanwhile, your leader, Brad Keselowski, worried about sticker tires, thinking the car will be just too loose. So instead, they'll elect to bolt on 4 scuff tires. They'll also make an air pressure adjustment to the right rear tire on the leader as they complete their stop now.
All the way, clear all the way.
Trevor Bayne is on pit road now. It'll be a 4-tire change and chassis adjustment for the NUM race car. Got a new sponsor on that car this weekend. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle is on pit road. John Kowalski, the catch can man, will put that wrench through the window and do what we talked about when the Tim Brewer hit just a little bit earlier. The track bar adjustment's already been made. They will change 4 tires for Greg Biffle. Remember, it was just a little bit tight. He wanted him to lower the track bar, actually raise the track bar to loosen that car up.
All right, cycle of pit stops continues. Joey Logano took over the lead when Brad Keselowski and the other front runners pitted. Now here's Logano on pit road for his stop at lap number 59.
Joey Logano gives up that position. More chassis adjustment going on this car. A lot of changes being made to these cars. Track bar will go up. Air pressure will be changed. The car didn't turn well. That is called tight. It'll be a 4-tire stop for him. Behind him, Tony Raines comes in, and also Brian Eichler leaving pit road after overshooting his pit box and spending extra time on pit road in the 16 car.
All right, looks to be like the last one yet to come into pit is Jamie McMurray. You got McMurray, Michael Annett, Joe Nemechek, and then we'll cycle back around to Casey Kane, who will finish this cycle of pit stops ahead of Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, it looks like he was the winner on that green flag round of pit stops. Big loser there was the 12 car of Justin Allgaier. Had a big mistake with the jack coming down, or actually it looked like the car just drove off the jack before they were ready.
And that's a driver's responsibility, is to make sure that you don't let the clutch out before it is time, and they'll drive it off. We'll see Jamie McMurray hitting pit road now.
Seems like this 88 car gets the best mileage of any of the cars, and he's the last one to make this green flag stop.
So McMurray is in. Michael Annett is also pitted. Joe Nemechek has not yet stopped, and he will take over the race lead. Joe did stop under one of the first 2 cautions earlier, so he's got a gallon or 2 of extra fuel. And now Joe Nemechek heads to pit road as well. Mike, 88 stops.
And McMurray over the radio to his crew chief, Tony Uri Sr., saying it's just the way it was in practice. Very tight. They're going to make a 4-tire change, also make an air pressure adjustment and a chassis adjustment, trying to free that car up. Cloud cover now encroaching on the speedway. That may change things. That's not what Jamie McMurray's hoping for. Before the race, he told me, as long as the sun stays out, we'll be okay.
So that hands the lead now to Casey Kane as the cycle of pit stops concludes. And Casey has put himself a little bit of a gap on Brad Keselowski. Check it as they come through the line of the scoring cycles out. How about 1.9 seconds with Casey Kane now ahead of Keselowski. And in the meantime, Kyle Busch cycled back in the pack because of his speeding penalty. We'll check on where he runs when we come back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Point of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Love those blue skies after a rather gloomy forecast, and Casey Kane is out in front of this race, the 6th different leader of the event, and that is Kyle Busch. He's about to put a lap down.
Yeah, now after everybody cycled through the green flag stops, you can see how that extra pass-through penalty has affected Kyle Busch. He's almost a lap down now to Casey Kane.
I can tell you one thing, though. As Casey Kane came up close to his back bumper, Kyle was running the bottom. He's moved to the top and actually pulled back away from Casey Kane. So he found something here that might be beneficial to him as we move on.
Little defense turned into a little offense.
Yes.
Now, we've seen Greg Biffle use that just real to his advantage. He's in 3rd place right now. His car's really fast.
Now, Casey Kane in that 38 since the pit stop has yarded Brad Keselowski. He's added 2 seconds to his lead since the pit stops. Meanwhile, this 12 car of Justin Allgaier, after the problem we saw in the pit stop a minute ago, has fallen a little bit farther back into the field, and he's now running in the 11th spot after this happened on the pit lane.
It looked like a mistake maybe made by Justin Allgaier right there. He either let the clutch out or possibly have some kind of a mechanical issue with the clutch, but it definitely drove off the jack before the pit stop was completed.
DJ, you put us inside the car on one of those pit stops. What you're doing with that clutch pedal? You're not holding it in the entire time, right?
Yeah, right. We see Ryan Newman trying to go around the outside of Joey Logano. But what generally most drivers will, when the jack drops on the right side, as they're going around, that's whenever you'll kick the clutch in and put it in 1st gear at that point in time. Now, it's a possibility if they're having a clutch problem that Justin maybe was waiting a little bit longer, and when he put it in gear, then it jerked it off the jack at that point in time. And you have to really be careful on these concrete pit boxes too. Be careful that you don't strip the axle, break an axle. A lot of things can happen. The rear end gear you can mess up. So if they do, indeed, we'll have to see as they get ready to make another pit stop if they have some type of problem with the clutch.
It's a bad break for Justin too, because he was running. He had driven his way up towards the front to the top 5 and had that little problem. It's going to set him back some. Now in 11th spot.
Been watching this Ryan Newman, Joey Logano race for the 4th and 5th spots as Newman puts a lap on Stephen Wallace. Shannon, how about this one team today?
Well, how about it? They started 4th and fell back, lost some positions on that first run. Ryan said that the car was really tight. They came down, made a track bar adjustment, and it looks like that car has come alive. But the interesting thing, guys, Ryan Newman riding along top, really making that high line work. He also made it work on the Cup side, earned the pole for the Sprint Cup race tomorrow. Crew chief for Ryan Newman told me he has never seen a driver drive as high on the track as Ryan Newman did and has this weekend.
It's worked for him.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I saw that the other night. It was just unbelievable. You go win the pole, run. I mean, you always had to be on the white line running around this race. Just shows you a race driver with the feel of a car and the feel for speed that Ryan Newman has, that he was able to adjust to that and see that's what he needed to do.
Yeah, it's one thing to be able to do this in a race when the tires wear down. You see he's doing it really well right now. But qualifying, man, that was different.
And by the way, sign of a good race team, when it almost doesn't seem to matter who's in their car, they're running well. Remember, they won this race with Mike Bliss a year ago. Here's Ryan running well. He's the 8th different driver in that one car since they won this race a year ago. Kyle Busch trying not to go a lap down to Casey Kane.
Yeah, he's going to make Casey earn this pass, though. He's not going to give him that top side. Casey's car really fast on the bottom, though. Kyle has a few more laps on his tires.
You may have to plan one of those sprint car slide jobs on him.
He knows a thing or two about those.
Yeah, Casey does.
You see the run that Kyle Busch gets from that top side, able to get back in the throttle, really shows up on the straightaway. It looks like he has, 20, 30 more horsepower than what the 38 car does. That's not the case. But if you can really get a good run off there, it makes that much difference.
So, Dave, they pitted that 18 car early in the green flag cycle because Kyle felt something up at the right front corner. What are they saying now?
And they tried to make some adjustments on that car as he nearly gets into that yellow car right there. And the problem is that it's a little bit tighter right now than it was earlier. They tried to adjust against that. Unfortunately, it went further to the tight side. Shannon?
Well, Casey Kane started this race. He was tight. They made an air pressure adjustment on the last pit stop. And now he said the car has gone to the free side. Speaking with Casey before the race, I asked him what he thought about this track. Obviously, he's had so much success. He said, on the Cup side, I have figured it out. I struggle a little getting the handling down here on the Nationwide side, but guys, I don't think he's struggling today at all.
Now, Shannon, there aren't many times you can say Casey Kane has struggled at Charlotte Motor Speedway, right? He's got 3 Sprint Cup points race wins here. He's won the Sprint Cup All-Star race. He's won one of these Nationwide Series races. He does okay here.
Yeah, he does pretty well, but it really fits his driving style well. And I think it goes back to his sprint car days where he drives it with the throttle. He doesn't overdrive the corner getting in, but he'll be back to the throttle early and really driving the car around and making the straightaways longer.
And I just want Dave Burns and everyone else to know that when Dave was saying, ooh, when that 38 was running up on the 04 lap car, Andy about fell off his stool up here in the booth, too. Casey Kane out in front of Brad Keselowski by 7 seconds. He's doing okay.
Danica Patrick going side by side with Weldon. She'll be the leader in turn number 1. All is right with the world. Danica Patrick leading the Indianapolis 500.
Certainly be told from days to come.
Expect more drama and excitement when the Indianapolis 500 returns on ABC Sunday, May 30th.
Racing here on ABC, back here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, getting things kicked off for Memorial Day. This race being led by that 38 car of Casey Kane. And what stands out to you guys the most?
Well, I just think that the interesting thing is how fast Kane has been consistently. Once he caught Brad Keselowski in traffic, got by him, he has really been blazing a trail. So it's interesting. We'll see also Ryan Newman starting to catch up with that racing going on after our next pit stop, I do believe.
What has been interesting, too, is they've practiced and qualified in 2 very different track temperatures. Newman, Brad Keselowski, and Casey Kane.
Got to see him pick up some spots here on pit road, though, Brian. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The race is slowly unfolding. These guys are really just taking this moment to fill their cars out and really try to prepare their car for what they need to do the best job they can. You see a couple of the cars strong in the second run. Another Braun car, Leffler's done really good. The 27 of Biffle, he was the strongest car for the last 10 or 20 laps that for him to come up here and challenge Kane for the lead during this run, but he's lost something. He hasn't been quite as fast as he was.
Well, let's get you caught up to speed on everyone that is running in the top 5, starting with Shannon Spake, who's got Casey Kane.
Well, Nicole, if you think back to October, Casey Kane came very close to winning this race. He led a bunch of laps, but he was black flagged because he had a window net problem. Right now, Casey is showing a little redemption on the racetrack, leading this race. The car has been pretty good just on the free side. He started 5th, took the lead after the pits, and he's not looking back. Mike?
And speaking of windows, Brad Keselowski has a window of opportunity, perhaps to win this championship. He is the championship leader, but in light of recent news that Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick will officially not be running for the title, you might think that Keselowski will get complete. I spoke with him this morning. He said, I'm more mad. I don't want anybody to say if I win this championship that Kyle or Kevin would have won it if they ran the full schedule. He wants to run away with it, Shannon.
Ryan Newman in the #1 car for the second race in a row. When you pulled the garage this weekend and you asked what the #1, what the fastest car out there was, a lot of teams would have said this #1 car. Well, I asked the team, so do you have the fastest car? And they said it's fast, but you never know what can happen in the race. The handling has been a little off, but ever since that last pit stop, Ryan Newman says the balance is good. Dave?
Shannon, let's get Brian Vickers' question answered. What happened to Greg Biffle? Well, they made a track bar and an air pressure adjustment on that stop. After the restart, after he got back on the track under green, he said that air pressure adjustment made his car wobbly and very darty at the start of that run. That's how he lost position. As for Joey Logano, he was running behind Kevin Harvick and wondered how Harvick was beating him on the racetrack. His spotter told him he's beating you rolling through the center of the corner. As soon as that happened, Logano made the pass and holds 5th position right now. Trouble on the track, guys. 38, Casey Kane in trouble.
Kane, the race leader, is in turns 3 and 4. Is he coming to pit road? He is.
He's coming down pit road.
He's going to give up an 11-second lead on 2nd place for an unscheduled stop just shy of halfway.
It doesn't look like a tire issue. Well, maybe it is. If I was, it looks like he may have something there on the left rear, Shannon.
Hey guys, right now Casey Kane on the radio saying he thinks it might be a battery. You see the car on pit road. What a terrible break from this 38 team. You can see them right now going to work, and that is they are working on the back left side of this race car, and they do have a battery, guys.
Yeah, I don't know how they diagnose that quick, if that's the issue. It's going to take a little while now to get this battery changed. At least a couple of laps under green. Wow. Yeah, that's bad, man.
He had an 11-second lead on 2nd place.
Okay, if I'm up on the box here, I'm going to say, guys, just get it done. Just be deliberate. Get this thing done. If you lose a couple laps, even 3 laps, we got a fast car, and it's only about halfway through this thing. So, you know, our day's not over with. We can get this thing done and get out of here.
They got to get it back on the track without going multiple laps down, right?
Yeah, they're sitting here a while now. This is not what you want to see.
And obviously he had tried other things that you have in there, whether it be an ignition box, just trying to find it. Apparently it developed a miss of some kind and started to slow down a little bit. None of the other things that you're able to do as a driver inside the car were working, and I guess they got
okay, he's gone.
They had to change that pattern.
See how many laps he lost. Yeah, this is boy, it's a tough break. I mean, that was a fast race car. You hate that. Things never break when you're running 2 or 3 laps down. They always break when you're leading.
Laps down and working on a 3rd as he goes down pit road at speed limit, and Brad Keselowski continues on the racetrack, and here comes the 22 car. If he catches him, that'll put Kane a 3rd lap down.
And you got a couple of cars chasing this 22 car Keselowski. It's the 1 car of Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle in 27. They're having a great battle of their own, but they're also catching Brad a little bit. See him around, just coming into the picture here, right behind Trevor Bayne.
I think the 38 problems did, too, was Jamie McMurray had just gotten lapped right before that, so he's back on the lead lap for the time being. That 99 car that you see right there, Ryan Newman just went out. He is the first car a lap down at this point.
Yeah, he's coming, though, and I see a little wiggle out of Brad Keselowski coming off turn 4 that lap. Trevor Bayne had a great qualifying run in the 99 car, and he's really struggling with his race setup.
You know, that 22 car in the first run of the race was so strong, and it had himself built up that big lead, right? 2nd segment of the race, there went Casey Kane.
Saw Biffle right there. I'm not sure he didn't get into the wall that time.
I think he caught a piece of the wall there. If he didn't, he couldn't have put a piece of paper there.
You know, we saw a little of this from the 22 car at Dover. They started out that race extremely strong. After the first pit stop, then they got really, really loose and had a hard time catching up. They came back and made a 7th place finish out of it after Brad had spun out. So,
but you're right, Dale. At Dover, he dominated a part of that race, and then all of a sudden, he really wasn't a factor.
And while we are watching Greg Biffle here. Let's see if he did catch the wall a minute ago.
This is down in the middle of turn 3 and 4. Yeah.
Yep, he definitely got a good piece of it.
You're exactly right, Andy. You keep messing around up there. It only takes your margin for error is so small.
And while that's going on, this is for the lead. Ryan Newman has run down Brad Keselowski in traffic, and he's going to go after him right here.
You can still see Biffle right behind him, not too far. He's not lost a lot of ground after hitting that wall.
Talking about James Finch and his group, not going to run all the races here, but I'll guarantee you they'll be back at Charlotte because, man, they have things that work here regardless of who's driving this car.
I'd say James having a little fun now, and that's what he's looking for out of this. He wants to enjoy this racing, and no better way to do it than be up front.
I mentioned, obviously, Brian Scott. You just saw the leaders lap him. He is back on the racetrack. Steve Arpin back out on the racetrack as well after their problems that sent them to the garage earlier in the event. So through the traffic, Keselowski able to hold on to the lead. You got Newman second, Biffle third, Logano fourth, Leffler fifth. There's only 12 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch is still one of them. He's in 8th spot. I'm not going to count him out yet. He's still on the lead lap, though, not knocking around for the number 1 spot. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Charlotte. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. You will notice the pace car is in front of the field. Caution for the 3rd time in the race for debris in turn number 3. And that will give Trevor Bayne in the 99 car the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He was the first guy lapped down, 13th position. He'll get sent around the pace car in a little bit and get back on the lead lap. We were coming up on a set of green flag stops. Now this will close the field back up again and give everybody one more chance at adjusting those cars.
Yeah, there are a lot of cars need adjusting, and you see that one car running right behind Brad Keselowski. He's got a good car, and you see a lot of the leaders coming here, all of them. Shannon?
Hey guys, Ryan Newman gives up 2nd place on the racetrack to come down pit road. He said the car was a little bit tight on that last run at the end of the run, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment and 4 tires for Ryan Newman in that one car. Dave?
Greg Biffle needs a trip to the body shop. The guys will tug on those fenders to make sure they're not rubbing after he tapped the wall. It'll be a 4-tire change, mostly tight for Biffle right now. Mike?
And Brad Keselowski loose, center off. They're going to make a chassis adjustment, an air pressure adjustment as well. 4 sticker tires this time around for the leader as they work now on the left side of the car. They take a fuel load of Sunoco race fuel, and they're away.
Easy for you to say, Mike. Race off pit road from Nationwide Insurance. Logano up 2, Leffler up 2.
One number you don't see on there is the 1 car at a slow stop.
And there he is just coming off the pit lane now. So we'll follow up on what happened to Ryan Newman and where he winds up. It is Brad Keselowski leading just past halfway the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Charlotte.
We are back and under caution at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is fitting because that's pretty much how this race started. On lap 2, the rookie Steve Arpin in that 7 car finds himself in the wall.
Yeah, Steve gets down on top of Paul Menard. Paul turns him, and you see chaos behind him. Mark Green tears up his race car, and we're off to a rocky start.
Chaos being the key word because double file restarts led to more trouble. This one for Brian Scott in the 11. So we had 2 cautions for 8 laps in the first 10 laps, and it led to 8 cars in the garage.
Yeah, you know, right there you saw a double file restart stack up, misses shift, and big problems. Here you see the Casey Kane problems, battery trouble. He pits. You know, this is a problem that's plagued this team. They've had really good cars, really fast cars, but can't seem to put a whole race together. This is the issue that's going to hurt him for the rest of the race.
Yeah, he had 11-second lead. He was gone.
That was the unexpected pit stop for the battery issues with the lead. He had led at that point 29 laps. That was their 5-hour energy rapid recap. So far, right now, under caution coming back down, Brad Keselowski is the leader. He's been leading for a while. He seems to have it under control today.
Familiar suspect. Brad is racing hard today. Had that really hard crash in practice, but is really digging in and running hard.
Yeah, he really is. He's got a good car, but I tell you who has the best car on the racetrack is Kyle Busch. He was clicking off some incredible laps. As soon as he moved up to the top of the racetrack to block Kane from putting him a lap down, he really found something, and he was 3 to 5 tenths faster than just about anybody I saw.
And this is a guy that actually went a lap down because he was penalized for speeding on pit road back in the beginning of the race on lap 48 when he made that early stop. When it comes down to it, what are the guys learning on the track right now that may come into play his lap, 90-some laps.
Well, they're learning a lot about their race cars and what they need to adjust them on this last stop. But a lot of what they're learning, too, is grooves. You know, you saw Kyle Busch. He found something there when he was forced to find it that he didn't have before, and that's something that's going to come up later in this race.
What about Greg Biffle in that 27 car? He has been running the high line all day long, made a little contact with the wall a bit earlier, but he has been strong. He's in 4th right now.
You know, that last adjustment they made, they hurt the car a little bit. I'm sure they can come back from that. He, you know, the one thing that concerns me about the 27 car, he's been the fastest at times, but he only has it in one groove, and that's going to limit his possibilities towards the end of the race. But he has been really good if he can stay off the wall.
Well, Brian Vickers is our special guest in the pit studio. He'll be with us all afternoon. AB, who do you got up there?
I've got champion crew chief Andy Petrie, former tire changer, to evaluate what in the world sent Ryan Newman from 2nd back to 12th.
Well, we'll see right here. The right front tire changer is definitely having a problem with the lug nuts falling off. He has to take the time to put them back on, and this takes forever. I mean, you feel like it has taken you a week to put them back on, and it cost them a really good place in the order right here. They were running 2nd when they made this stop, and now they're going to be 12th on the restart, or 11th now.
Yeah, I can probably promise you, as long as you feel like as a tire changer it takes you sitting in that driver's seat, you're only getting matter by the second.
Yeah. So Newman back in 12th instead of 2nd. Brad Keselowski with Joey Logano to his outside for the restart.
Middle three. All clear. All right, you're clear. 21.
Look out. That had potential to get ugly. Nice job, everyone, to get through there.
Yeah, these restarts can get pretty exciting because most of these guys have found with this tire, they don't have as much stagger as what they had. Their cars are really tight, so they're having to free them up. See Kyle Busch get into the back of Jason Leffler right there.
Little chrome horn there.
Yeah, looks like Leffler wasn't going quite as fast as Kyle wanted to go there.
And better keep an eye on that 18 car, too. You heard Brian Vickers talking about just a minute ago. Before the caution, fastest lap times are being run by this 18. Right now, Kyle's in 5th place, and he wants to get to the front.
And sometimes you find that something that works for you just, not necessarily by accident, but you're forced into a situation, as Brian was talking about, whenever Casey Kane came up to try to put Kyle Busch a lap down, he moved to the top side of the racetrack to try to go faster. He found that groove working for him. I think he's been a little conservative right here, right now, just on the newer tires, and then he'll move back to the top.
I've seen that too, even with Greg Biffle. He was making a lot of ground on the high lane. Now he seems doing it again. But sometimes on new tires, you'll see these guys go right down to the bottom for 5, 6, 8, 10 laps.
And you know, we talked at the beginning of this race about how temperature sensitive this track is. You watch when the cars go off into turns 3 and 4. Next lap by, a little bit of shade in that end of the racetrack just for the moment. I can't see out the back of the booth here if that's just a cloud or what, but if that gets back in the sun, that could change the whole thing around for these guys.
Yeah, you just have to be ready and willing as a driver to adjust all of this. Here's Carl Edwards battling with Ryan Newman. Carl took the time to make a few adjustments on his race car during those last pit stops.
Newman trying to make up the lost ground. Now, just ahead of them, Clint Boyer in the 21. Announcement made by Richard Childress Racing that their sponsorship agreement with Zaxby's has been revised. Clint Boyer is going to run another 8 races in this 21 car with Zaxby's sponsorship. Scott Riggs is going to run a couple. And now the Childress team looking for a primary sponsor for this car for a number of races for later this year, as Zaxby's will go to an associate's role for that car. Remember, John West Townley was the driver for that car at the start of the season, and his family has a relationship with that company.
Guys are racing hard right there.
Man.
Got kind of close coming out of turn.
I think Newman's got the better car. Now he gets the advantage off turn 2, but boy, it was getting a little dicey there.
See Justin Allgaier part of that too, and made a nice run up into the top 5 during our first run.
And on the left side of the picture, this for the lead. Joey Logano trying to get underneath Brad Keselowski. I won't give you one of those if that was the last lap things. Because I don't know who led it if that was the last lap. That was close.
We've seen Joe Logano do a nice job of those guys adjusting on this car. He wasn't the best in those first 2 runs, but obviously they've made this car a lot better and more competitive for him. He's ready to go to the front.
That's one of the things I've liked about him that you see. he really does get his car better and better and better as the race goes on. And so he's got a good feel for it, and he's communicating it well to his crew chief.
And through. So Joey Logano going to lead this race at lap 115. Dave, he's out in search of a W.
Yep, and teammates may help that effort today. Crew Chief Kevin Kidd told Joey after that pit stop before they went green, I got a good feeling about the direction we're going because it helped you a little bit earlier, and the 18, your teammate Kyle Busch, was doing the same thing, and he was the fastest during that last session. Brian Vickers isn't the only one who saw that. Crew chiefs up and down pit road knew the 18 was good. Kevin Kidd, the 20 crew chief, has privy to the information that got him that way.
So Logano out front for the second time today. Led a couple of laps during the exchange of green flag pit stops earlier, back around laps 58 and 59. So Logano, Keselowski, Biffle, Leffler, and Kyle Busch, your top five. Brian Newman up to 8th. Casey Kane, he's got a lot of work to do after dominating the race earlier. We'll come back to Charlotte in a minute. You're watching ESPN on ABC. The Memorial Day weekend, always a huge one in the motorsports world, especially in Indianapolis, with the running of the 94th Indianapolis 500 for the Eyes on IndyCar Series. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC starting at noon Eastern Time tomorrow. Weather forecast is great. NASCAR now, 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning with pre-race coverage for tomorrow's Coca-Cola 600 Sprint Cup Series race. Then the NASCAR Nationwide Series moves to Nashville next weekend. Saturday prime time coverage starting with qualifying at 5:30 Eastern and the race. Coverage presented by Pennzoil at 7 Eastern. That's on ESPN2. Our drag racing coverage, United Association Route 66 NHRA Nationals. The finals at 4 Eastern, Sunday, June 6th, ESPN2. Tons of racing coverage on the way for you on the ESPN and ABC networks. Watching the race for the lead at lap 123 of the TechNet Auto Service 300 powered by CarQuest. It's Joey Logano in the Joe Gibbs Racing 20, leading Roger Penske's 22, driven by Brad Keselowski. Some heavy hitters there, and don't look now, but here comes third place, Greg Biffle, who's closed to just a few car lengths behind.
And then you got this car here of Jason Leffler, who has done an outstanding job from 40th position on the start now up to the 4th spot.
Yeah, he was up trying to pass Greg Biffle a while ago for that 3rd spot. Biffle kind of got on it again, got his car righted. Now Biffle's up there going to try to go for the lead here shortly.
Riding that rim is Greg Biffle in that 27 car. He's got something dragging around. It looks like on the radio antenna of his car. Is that maybe a windshield tear off? Came off another car?
Yeah, they got these clear shields they put on the windshield, and they can tear them away. It's like somebody's came off it. I don't know if it was his or somebody else's, but it's stuck on an antenna.
If he keeps running like this, everybody's going to want one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's helping or hurting. It looks like it's doing pretty good.
Somewhere, somehow, back inside this racetrack, there's some crew chief somewhere saying, I wonder if that's good for downforce.
They'll be trying that in the wind tunnel the next time we're there to see exactly what it does. But Biffle is on the move. Remember, this guy hit the wall not long ago before we made these last pit stops.
Just lost it. Whatever it was came off his roof.
Yeah, let's see if he still runs as fast the next lap.
Yeah. So he's up to 2nd spot, riding the rim around this racetrack. The old Richard Petty line.
Here we go, man. Look at this.
Joey Logano's going to say have it. How about that? And what a story it would be if this 27 car could win the race today. This is the Baker Curb Racing Team based out of Nashville. The sponsor that they have on the car basically has to come off the car after this weekend. A change in regulations governing the advertising of smokeless tobacco means that the sponsor of this car can't sponsor this car anymore after the 1st of June. So their sponsorship deal comes off. Greg Biffle's last race in this car scheduled for today. Unless they find some more sponsorship, they're going to run the next few races. They say they've got a lot of things in the pipeline, but in this economy and in this day, it's great to have a lot of them in the pipeline, but it's nothing until you've got the check in hand.
Yeah, a win today would probably go a long way towards helping solidify some of those. We can only hope because they've really done a nice job of putting this race team together.
That high line Greg Biffle's using's got us all up here watching very carefully. Brian Vickers down with us in the pit studio. Brian, is he afraid of slipping when he's that close to the wall?
I can promise you it's on his mind, but he's found a lot of grip up there. And what they did to the car in the last run, they got it back out of him. He's putting down some really good laps. You made mention earlier, him going to the bottom and then going back to the top. When you're on new tires and everyone has a lot of grip, it's hard to make up ground when you're covering more distance up top. But as the tires wear and those guys on the bottom start getting tighter and tighter, that's when you see Biffle's car get better and better on those long runs. He really carries a lot of momentum up top, even on old tires, and it's making a difference right now.
Logano not willing to give that up.
Yeah, you can see Biffle slip a little bit as he went around Kenny Wallace there down the back straightaway, but he slipped. Looked like he might have got in that corner a little hard.
Well, it looked like that Kenny Wallace took his angle away that he was using getting into turn 3, and it definitely broke his momentum and let Joey Logano get the lead back. Here's 10th.
Ryan Newman in the 1. Remember, he was second going on to pit road at the last set of caution flag stops at lap 104. He came off pit road in 12th, and he hasn't made up a whole lot of ground.
It's hard to make it up on the track, and you lose those kind of spots on pit road. That's why these crew chiefs pull their hair out when they have mistakes like that on pit road.
It's amazing how much different your car drives when you get back in traffic. It makes your car react differently and makes it hard to go forward, Shannon.
Yeah, the team came over the radio and said, shake it off, guys, but we cannot let that happen again this race. But, guys, we have talked about 2 tires, 4 tires, track position. Listening in on the radio, it sounds like there may be some gambling going on down here in the 1. They are thinking about maybe taking 2 tires on the next pit stop.
Yeah, they may have to think about that now because they're not able to drive back up to the front. You know, they don't have a lot of time left, so they're going to have to try something to try to get that track position back.
A lot of it's going to depend on when they get that caution or when they come to pit road, right?
Yeah, if we continue and have green flag pit stops again, I'd say that would certainly be a gamble that you could take because we've seen these tires really be able to hold up. 2 tires saves you a good bit of time on pit road.
And just behind Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray in 12th position. He is also on the lead lap. 68 laps to go. Joey Logano, Greg Biffle fighting it out for the lead. We're back to Charlotte after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Caution has just come out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Trevor Bayne was off the pace after we think making contact with the wall off turn number 2. He was trying to get to pit road, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, there's obvious damage down the right-hand side of this 99. Looked like it happened maybe off of turn 2 or in the middle of 1 and 2. Trying to get it to pit road. I think he got to the apron just a little bit too quick and lost it and brought the caution out.
So yellow for the 4th time in this race. He was 13th, Bayne was, and the last car on the lead lap. Remember, he'd gotten the lucky dog at that last caution back at lap 104. See if we can see what happened here.
This is when he was trying to get to pit road, and you see he's just carrying just a little too much speed on the apron here. And with the damage. That looked a little weird, though.
Definitely did, yeah.
By the time he got to there, he should have been able to save it.
Now, this is going into turn 1. Okay, definitely got the wall.
Yeah, quite a few times there. As Andy said, a lot of damage to the right side.
So, as mentioned, Trevor was 13th and on the lead lap at this point, and here come the leaders to pit road for stops at what will be lap 139, Shannon.
Alan, Jason Leffler says the car is good. No changes, 4 tires only. Dave.
7 car of Greg Biffle was running in the second. Greg Biffle comes in for 4 tires on his pit stop. Joey Logano talking about 4 as well. They said this may be the last time we stop. Good change last time. Same thing, track bar up. Mike.
Prior to the last stop, Brad Keselowski real loose. This time, though, the opposite condition. Very tight. 4 tire change in Sunoco race fuel. Brad Keselowski away.
Kyle Busch.
Wow.
How about that 18 team?
4 tires, too.
Talked about it being hard to pass people on the track.
That's the way you do it.
Yes, sir. So, Kyle Busch, winner of 3 of the last 4 here, is first off pit road with 61 to go. All right, as we cover the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Charlotte, make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 4th caution of the race brought out when Trevor Bayne spun on the apron of turns 3 and 4. Kyle Busch comes off the pit lane as the new race leader. And the caution flag giving Brian Eichler, the Aaron's Lucky Dog, free pass. The first driver a lap down, so now he comes back on the lead lap in 13th spot in his first drive for Roush Fenway Racing in this number 16.
Yeah, doing a nice job today. He's looks like he's kind of settling in, made his car what looks like a little bit better with each time they've been able to adjust on it.
So let's talk about Kyle Busch picking up 3 spots on pit road there just a second ago, Andy.
Kyle Busch got one of the best pit crews on pit road. And you see right here, the tire changers are really getting it done. I mean, they beat Logano's team by a second on the right side, and you can see a few tenths on the left. And that 13-second stop is what gained him those 3 spots. And, man, that's critical at this point.
So Kyle will be to the inside of Joey Logano for this restart. Joe Gibbs Racing's won 5 of the last 6 Nationwide Series races on mile-and-a-half tracks. And there are 2 guys on the front row for a restart with 58 laps to go. No surprise.
No surprise. They might have their work cut out for him here today, though. Keselowski has a fast car. Biffle's shown that, so should be a lot of fun to watch. Can they make it from here, Andy?
Well, it's going to be tight to make it from here, but they possibly could with some cautions. But don't forget, now, Biffle and Logano have a little history, too, so
yeah,
might see a little hard racing between these 2.
Even with you, around clear. 22's bringing the bottom, 2 back, 1 back.
Kyle Busch gets clear. Joey Logano left the race with Brad Keselowski for second, and Greg Biffle trying to come and join the party. Biffle to the outside behind Logano.
He's looking for room.
And he's through to third. Quick mention while we watch some of this close racing up front. 10 different drivers took the wave around just before this restart. Among them, Casey Kane, who did not pit on this caution to try and get one of his laps back. Remember, Casey so dominant earlier in the race. He's in 20th spot right now, and he's still a lap down. There's the 38 car. So Kyle Busch just joining us. Remember, way back at lap 48, he dove onto pit road, short pitted under green, felt something funny with his car. They made the green flag pit stop, but he got busted for speeding exiting the pit lane. He had to come back down for a pass-through penalty. It left him in 21st spot and just in front of the race leader. Things worked out his way. He stayed on the lead lap, and now he's leading the race.
Well, he had to work for it. He stayed in front of Casey Kane there, really working hard, found a little bit of something there with his line that picked him up quite a bit. Then the next run, he was just so-so. But right now, he's got the lead because his pit crew did such a good job. We'll see if he can hold it.
Here comes Keselowski down the inside of Biffle. Looks like it might take Brad's car a couple of laps to come in. But the air pressure's up a little bit. Talking about Kyle Busch, I was like, Andy, looks like they might have made another adjustment on that car because, as you said, I mean, he was about a 4th place car in the last run.
Yeah, and that's one thing they're really good at, too. They do keep adjusting on that car. Even if they're leading the race by, 4 or 5 seconds, they'll make changes on that car every stop because Kyle's so good at giving them feedback.
And like we talked about at the beginning of the day, the team that wins this race today, they're going to work on their car all race long.
Well, Kyle's team has definitely done that, so we'll see how it goes. But looks like got a good race shaping up. That 22 car looks like he's getting pretty strong here at the end, too.
And we've seen Kyle do his job from the driver's seat, too, because he's moved around on the racetrack depending on the circumstances, how his car was going, to find out where it's running the best.
You see them all kind of run the bottom right at this section of the run, and this is when the tires are still pretty fresh. We see Biffle now. He's been really good on the top, but it seems like they have to run a few laps before that advantage takes over.
Yeah, right behind Biffle there, you can see Justin Allgaier's fought his way back up into the top 5 now.
Yeah, they had a problem on pit road with a jack. He actually drove off the jack before the tires were changed and cost him a lot of positions there. Made a lot up so far, though.
And that was all the way back at lap 54, and he's been digging out of that hole ever since. McMurray, 88. Newman in the 1. Boyer in the 21. This is for 10th, 11th, and 12th.
And don't forget, Ryan Newman was running second when he had almost the same thing on pit road. They had some lug nuts that fell off the right front, and he's not been able to make that ground up.
And another car that at one point in time was a lap down, the 88 of Jamie McMurray, got himself up into the top 10 now.
Last ride in this car for McMurray for time being. Of course, the Nationwide Series goes off to the separate site stretch of races, starting next weekend in Nashville, then on to Kentucky Speedway, and up to Road America in Wisconsin, while the Sprint Cup Series goes to Pocono and Michigan and out to Sonoma. So a lot of young drivers get an opportunity, like, for example, next week in this 88 car. Going to see some new faces.
Yeah, Colin Presley will be in that 88. A lot of young drivers get these opportunities, make for some really good racing, too.
And here's for second place, Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano.
It looked like at one point in this race we talked about that Brad might have lost the handle of his car, and it might have just been a set of tires that was on the car that wasn't totally agreeing with him, but they've obviously adjusted well from that. Now he's up here battling Logano for that second spot. See how difficult it is. You really have to get a good run to make that pass before you get to the next corner.
Now, one thing they're dealing with, too, is what Alan brought up a while ago. Man, that was close. That was close. That's what Alan brought up a while ago. That turn 4 had shade on it. Now the sun's starting to shine back on it. I think they're going to be struggling with that a little bit.
And now a little bit of shade in turn 1 as the sun goes behind the condos over that part of the racetrack. It's a challenge here. You know, the sunshine on this racetrack is, as you talked about at the top of the show, Andy, the biggest challenge on the circuit.
It is. It's like a switch, man. That sun hits that track, it changes everything so dramatically here. Way more than any track we go to.
Yeah, and it's those conditions that we see this great battle go on. Logano trying to make a crossover move and come back to the inside of Keselowski. That's what, as a driver, you feel like you've accomplished a lot when you're able to run good, win races here because of the difficulty that you have with all of these challenges that are presented to you throughout a day.
Really tests your patience, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It really, really does.
I'm thinking of, Keselowski before got the run under Logano, then Logano came roaring back on the outside. He had to work his way back around him. By the way, the wave around didn't work out for Casey Kane, didn't get the quick caution, so he's had to pit under the green flag here, and you can pretty much write off that 38's chances for the day. And what a shame. What a great car.
Yeah, well, he had to take a shot at it. I mean, it was a gamble to get a caution. He didn't get it, but
also
tough
see,
day.
Yeah, he'd been into the wall. You could see the right side scraped up.
And by the way, while we're watching all this good racing for second, third, and fourth, Kyle Busch has gapped him 2.5 on this race for second place. Now, a moment ago, down on pit road, the 62 car for driver Brendan Gaughan. While he was on the racetrack, Brendan was trying to fight off the effects of what we suspect is carbon monoxide. Remember, his car was in an accident back at lap number 7, which damaged some of the fenders, which could have knocked what they call the crush panels loose inside the car that seal the fumes from getting in the car. So on this last pit stop a minute ago, Brendan taken from the car, and he has been replaced by Chase Miller, who is substituting behind the wheel. And for more on pit road, let's go to Shannon Spake.
Well, Alan, right now they are still working on the 62 car. Chase Miller, they are trying to locate him to get him into the car. That is what the team has told me. But yes, it was carbon monoxide. I spoke with Brendan Gaughan when he did climb out of the car. He looked okay, but just said because of the damage on that car, he's been sucking those fumes for the entire race. They brought him into the infield care center. You saw that he was on oxygen. But right now, the team trying to repair the damage down here in the Cup garage and looking for a replacement driver. Alan?
DJ, you've been in one of those cars with those crush panels knocked out before.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, the only way I can tell you is that you start losing your focus, and then the longer that it goes, you really have no business being inside of the race car because it will create headaches. That comes later on. But when you start losing that focus, it almost then starts making you sleepy. You have no business being in a race car running 180, 190 miles an hour. So Brendan did the right thing.
So good move there for Brendan Gaughan and the Rusty Wallace racing team to get him out of the car.
Yeah, here's a role reversal. We got Casey Kane trying to keep from going another lap down to now Kyle Busch.
Yep. Kyle out in front by 1 7/10 seconds with 43 laps to go, trying to tie Mark Martin for most Nationwide Series wins at this track. At the TechNet Auto Service 300 powered by CarQuest, an update. It is Mark Green who has just climbed aboard the 62 car in the NASCAR Nationwide Series garage, and he will be the relief driver for Brendan Gaughan, bringing that car back out onto the Speedway. 38 laps to go. Kyle Busch leading Brad Keselowski by 1 1/10 seconds. Now that gap has shrunk for these last few laps as the 22 car starts to eat in a little bit to the 18's advantage.
Yeah, last lap was almost 3/10, a little over 3/10, almost 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, starting to see Kyle Busch in that 18 car move back up to the top of the racetrack now.
Meantime, talk about digging out of a hole from earlier in the race. Justin Allgaier with the mistake on the first pit stop. He's about to try and challenge Joey Logano for 3rd place.
I'm really impressed with what the Penske cars have done. You got that 22 car, Brad Keselowski running second, challenging for the lead. And then you've got the 12 car here of Allgaier. They're just doing an outstanding job in this series. And Roger Penske I was over there this week. They have an incredible facility.
And for a program that didn't exist until over the winter, right? Now all of a sudden they're fielding 2 full-time cars together, and they've really figured out a way to make these two work with each other, right?
Yeah, and it starts back at the shop, and it's the crew chiefs and the drivers, and they all have a great relationship. You can see they're all in one shop, all working together, and it really shows out here on the track.
How about it, Dave?
Guys, what helped this race car 2 pit stops ago was that edginess was taken away, a loose condition that was really hurting Justin's lap times. They put a spring rubber into the left rear, they made a wedge and an air pressure adjustment, and during that next section, Justin radioed in, the edginess is gone. That's allowed him to drive it harder. It's allowed him to move back up in the queue.
Impressive you talk about the operation this season and what they've accomplished, Andy. They've completed, both cars, 22 and 12, all but a single lap possible this season.
Yeah, that's a great stat, and that's something that the team can really hang their hat on, because that means that they're doing their job. They're making sure all the mechanical parts are right, the engine guys are doing their job, and the drivers are keeping the car out of trouble, not getting wrecked. So that's a really good stat.
And while we're looking at the Verizon Wireless car, Verizon Wireless customers can text Champion to 43776 for exclusive Champion Chats content from the NASCAR Now Roundtable group. I think this week's talks about Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and what happened to him at the All-Star race and how they're going to race with and against each other going forward.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir. So let's check back on that lead, because Brad Keselowski continues to chip in to Kyle Busch's advantage. Down to just 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, Kyle's kind of catching traffic sometimes at the wrong place as a leader, and that when they do that, breaks your momentum a little bit, and that's really what these cars with these tapered spacers are all about, is keeping that momentum up.
You can see that interval, and it's just steadily shrinking. Just a 3/4 of a second now.
While we're watching Brad try to chase down Kyle, Mike's got more from the 22 pit.
Well, that's right, Alan. You guys were talking a little bit about Brad and how that car was going through kind of a sour phase here during the race. At one point, not too long ago, the car was tight center, loose off. They made an air pressure adjustment on the last stop. They took a ½ pound out of the right front, 4 tires on that car, and all of a sudden, the car is much different, much better. At the beginning of the race, they told him to save a little. I can assure you, he's not saving anything now, guys.
Hey, Mike, with 30 laps to go in this race, the final decision may be what to do if the caution comes out. Come down pit road or not, and what to do when you do come down pit road. Jason Ratcliffe and I talked this morning about that. He said, you know what, Darlington, I wanted Kyle to pit. His 3rd place is still under contention between Logano and the 12 of Justin Allgaier. He said, I wanted Kyle to pit at Darlington. He wanted to stay out. Ultimately, it didn't make a difference, but here he said, I think it will. The biggest decision is, if my car is close to the 18, I may just take 2. If my car needs work, I'll definitely take 4. We'll see what they do as the laps wind down. Right now, Kyle hasn't said anything, the leader, about his car.
And Dave, we talked about this strategy at the top of the day, and history tells us we're going to have another caution. The last green flag run in this race, in 11 of the last 12 here at Charlotte for the Nationwide Series, has been 12 laps or less.
And that's what the crew chiefs are doing. They're down on the box, and they're thinking, okay, we're doing great. You can see Kyle Busch's car leading the race, but they're thinking, what are we going to do if that caution comes out, and are we going to change tires? Are we going to not change tires? You never think it's going to wind up just running out at the end. There's going to be something that's going to throw you a curve.
You got to be ready. You got what, 30 seconds to make the decision, right?
That's right. That's why they make the big bucks.
That's right. So will that decision need to be made shortly? We'll find out after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Get close to seeing that checkered flag wave here at Charlotte Motor Speedway over today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Maybe it's just me, but you can feel a little tension building over this thing. Brad Keselowski's hanging with Kyle Busch. He has lost a little bit of ground the last couple laps. Is there going to be another caution? What kind of strategies are going to be? Is the 22 going to be able to run down the 18? And how's it all going to play out?
Yeah, it looks like Brad was trying a few different things here to try to see if he could make up that ground. He had closed right to the bumper. Now, you know, when that happens, your car changes some, and you know the aero. We talked about how that aero effect is when you're running right behind somebody, and I think that Brad's just trying to figure out if there's any other line available to him.
Yeah, and I think maybe sometimes he was pretty much committed to the bottom. Sometimes you run that so hard, you might run the right front tire off of it a little bit, so you have to move around. We've seen him searching, see if that high line might work for him. His car's best at the bottom, but sometimes you have to go up there and just cool that tire off a little bit, and then you can make another run at him. So you can see Kyle has stretched it back out a little bit.
I was just saying, by the way, another change. We've talked about this several times, but a little bit of cloud cover over that turn 4. It's not as bright and sunny beating down on the track as it was before. So maybe that's taken away from the run the 22 was having a minute ago.
It definitely changes it. I mean, it doesn't just change every car exactly the same way. It depends on how your car is set up.
And don't think, as we see Ryan Newman here battling with Kevin Harvick for that 7th spot, but don't forget that maybe Kyle Busch also was saving a little bit of fuel during that time.
Yeah, because that's hanging out there too.
Oh yeah, there was. They're going to have to go almost to the very end of their window if they make it here on this. If it goes green the rest of the way.
So Newman there in 7th place. Kevin Harvick in 8th. Harvick, somebody that was on the charge early in the race, but just hasn't worked for him. Jason Leffler behind them in the 10. Solid run, but again, he was up in the top 5 a little while ago.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, Alan. It's track temperature changes. It affects some cars, and Leffler was up there when the track was a little different. Now he's struggling just a little bit, but he's still in the top 10. Shannon?
Well, guys, it's really been a tale of 2 seasons for Jason Leffler. The first 9 races, he really struggled. The past 3, he's really come alive, and Leffler gives a lot of credit to the fact that every weekend when they unload since Darlington, they've unloaded exactly like their teammates. He said before Darlington, they were really off on an island on their own, and now he can go to his teammates, he can talk to crew chiefs and the drivers, and get a feel for what he should be feeling in that car. He says it's really helped with the program, and it's given him a lot of confidence, and he is having a great run today, from 40th up into the top 10.
Another solid result for Jason Leffler, and you know, again, he was up a little farther forward during the race, but considering where he'd been at the beginning of the season, they've really got it going pretty well. Really haven't talked much about Carl Edwards, who started on the pole for this race and kind of faded back a little bit. He's been hanging in the middle part of the top 10 for most of the day.
Well, Goodyear came with a new left side tire for these cars, and it's tightened a lot of them up. And I talked to a lot of the teams. They said that they really had to change their setup. Kevin Harvick said he didn't have anything like what he has raced here before. That's a good combination to run a fast qualifying lap, and we saw Carl Edwards do that. But sometimes if you take advantage of that for qualifying, it can kill you when the race starts, and that might be what they've been facing and struggling with all day.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of these guys trying to free these cars up, and that's what these guys were telling me. I was asking them about the difference in this racetrack daytime and night, and they were saying, you know, as strange as it may seem, we lose the front a lot more. The cars won't turn as good, so they're having to really loosen these cars up a lot. They don't have as much stagger with these new tires that you're talking about, Andy, so that's created a problem of having to free them up. Mike, what have you got on the car?
Well, it's interesting, you guys talking about just about everybody in the garage complaining that their cars were tight early on during practice. Well, that was the case for me doing my research as well, except for when I spoke with Carl. He told me his car going into this race was a little bit loose. That, however, has not been the case throughout the course of the day. It got much tighter as the day wore on. In fact, it was so tight the last stop, they added 2 pounds of air pressure to the left front tire. It seems to have helped, but that car was tight prior to that.
Yeah, sometimes you see these guys that get the pole and they're not all that excited about it because they get worried that maybe my car is too good qualifying, and it might be that I struggle in the race, and that's a little bit of what Carl has faced today.
So Carl Edwards running there now in 7th spot, and the struggle to get that first win of 2010 continues for this 60 team and for Ford in general.
Yeah, and you see one thing Carl Edwards also sees is he's losing more points to the points leader, so that's not a good thing.
Now, we mentioned Brian Eichler a minute ago, the 24-year-old San Diego native in his first drive for Roush Fenway Racing. Dave, he got that free pass a little while ago, and he's hung on to this lead lap for a bit.
Alan, it has not been a perfect day, but it's been a good day for Brian Eigler. His first start for Roush Fenway Racing this year, his 4th in the Nationwide Series. He overshot his pit during the green flags pit stops around laps 58 and 59, and then they fought a tight race car, but on that last pit stop they made an adjustment and felt like it's quite a bit better for this young rookie. Alan?
Told you.
Looks like the 99 got the wall there off 4. Yeah, you're right, Al. You're always right, doggone.
No, it's all in the numbers.
Yeah, I know.
Trevor Bayne into the wall. Caution is out with 14 laps to go. Second yellow flag involving this 99 car in a row. Now what do you do?
Whew, man, this is going to be a tough one. Tough one to call right here.
All right, well,
if I'm Kyle Busch's crew chief, I believe I'm going to get 2 tires, try to get out there with track position, because I don't think they can pass him if he has that position, even with maybe better tires.
He's been running right up against the wall. I'd watched him for a number of laps. He was really making some pretty good time, but ran out of room right there. Scraped a lot of pieces coming off of it.
So we got, just to kind of button a couple things up here, Andy, we got 13 cars on the lead lap. There'll be a 14th with, no, there won't be a free pass, I'm told, because Trevor Bayne was running in the free pass spot. So you're going to have 13 cars on the lead lap. You're going to have about 10 laps to go. Double file restart.
I still want to be up front. I know tires might be worth a little bit, but I want to be up front. What do you think, Brian? If you're a driver, what are you asking me for?
I'm gonna put it back on you and say I don't know.
There you go.
I think I agree with you. Track position is very important, especially at a race like this. It looks like that's what
looks like
Kyle
staying
thinks.
out, so they have enough fuel to make it.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that think track position is really important. They're going to take no tires. You're going to see some guys get 2 and probably some get 4.
First and second stayed out. Everybody else on the lead lap, save but one, has come to pit road for at least some tires. Let's see what they do here. Dave?
And the 27 of Greg Biffle will come down pit road and take tires. Again, if your car isn't perfect, which Greg Biffle's on that last run was not real tight, was what he said, they'll get 2 tires. Justin Allgaier's crew is going to go for 4, and mainly because they want to do something you do late in the race, bump up the left side air pressures to give him a better go at the beginning of the race. We'll be 10 laps or under when this thing goes back to green, guys.
Well, you see a lot of 2-tire guys. Newman now makes up a little bit of that ground he lost on pit road. He gets 2 tires, gains a couple of spots. It's going to be interesting how this works out now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the 4-tire stop there. I like coming and getting some fuel, but I think 2 tires, and especially when Justin Allgaier, he came in, he was running 3rd, had a really good race car. I think I'd have had to take the chance with 2 right there.
And then you got the 2 that stayed out on the track.
Yeah, and do they have enough fuel?
Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski did not pit. Going to have about a 10-lap run to the checkered flag when we come back. Let's see how it all turns out. What a day it has been for Kyle Busch. Had to make a short pit earlier under the green flag. This was lap 48, and when leaving that pit stop, he felt something wrong with the car. He got busted for speeding on pit road. The pass-through penalty set him at the tail end of the lead lap. He fought then leader Casey Kane hard to keep from going a lap down. Then later, after a caution caught him up with the rest of the field, his pit crew picked him up 3 spots on the pit lane and put him into the race lead. He held on to that lead, fighting off Brad Keselowski. Then under this most recent caution, the 18 and 22 did not pit. Everyone else on the lead lap did. That has Kyle Busch leading this race as we come down for a restart with what will be 9 laps to go.
That's going to be interesting.
Oh, man.
Here's Kyle Busch trying to win his 15th Nationwide Series race on a 1.5-mile track. Brad Keselowski has never won on a 1.5-mile track. And that 15th win would tie Mark Martin for the most on a 1.5 miles. So,
and again, 18 and 22, no fresh tires.
And no fuel.
And no fuel this time. Joey Logano first off pit road, right side tires from him on back. The 20, the 1, Ryan Newman, 27 Biffle, 88 McMurray, 10 Leffler, 21 Boyer, all just right side tires. First one with 4 tires. Carl Edwards in that 60 car. He's going to restart 9th. Double file restart again. We're coming to it with 9 laps to go, and we've seen troubles on a restart already once today.
Yeah, we saw somebody not get going on the restart. It caused a huge pileup.
Yep, spinning the tires right here. Those guys, those tires were hot, picking up different things off the racetrack, rubber and things. See what happens.
Here we go.
Good start. Outside cover. 33's up that quarter with 21. 2x2. Murray, got your bumper outside.
Trying to get going here, corner.
Keselowski's hanging with him on the outside off turn 2.
Well, if he can hang right there, he can really help or take that line away off the corner for Kyle. But Kyle's going to work really hard to try to get clear right here. And he might do it.
Wow, he drove that thing in. I'm not sure he let it
No trouble. Brian Eichler, Stephen Wallace off turn 4. And the caution flag is out. Now Eichler on the lead lap in 13th spot. And Stephen Wallace was in 18th position, a lap down. And they have had contact and put out the yellow flag again. And this will bring this field back together one more time, and they'll have to line them up and do it again.
Yeah, and I just wonder if Keselowski learned anything there that he might be able to use on this next restart.
He learned he's going to have to drive it wide open and into turn 3.
Yeah. Kyle Busch really, 18. He really did leg it off that turn 4.
Gosh.
All right, let's ride on board with Stephen Wallace, see if we can see what happened here.
Oh, 16 got loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of wiggle right there, and he got up into Steven. Steven was just on the outside. Then they couldn't get away from each other as they got off of turn 4 here. You can see still happening on the front straightaway.
Eichler having a really good race so far there, and that's too bad. Nothing intentional, but Stephen was definitely a victim in that, Stephen Wallace.
Yeah, but a wrinkled up race car and continued tough run of luck here that Stephen's been on for a little bit. And for Brian Eichler, what had been a good clean day for the Roush Fenway team, going to come up with some wrinkled up fenders as well. Eichler, by the way, to drive this car next weekend in Nashville. The defending winner of this race is going to get back on the lead lap. Mike Bliss is going to get the Lucky Dog free pass here. So the 40 car running right now in 14th spot will come back around onto the lead lap when we get set to line it up again. So I'm wondering, as we motor around here with the possibility of a few green-white checkered finishes, Dave, if Kyle Busch's crew chief thinks they've got enough fuel for all that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I wonder. Nice little restart there for you on older tires. So can he do that a few more times with potential green-white checkers? And you got enough gas?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the gas is close. Yeah, I mean, we were good by about 3 laps if it would have went green there. So I think we're okay. But our NOS Energy Drink Toyota's been on both sides of the field today. I mean, we were too tight to start and then got it way too free. So, but one thing's for sure, it's its best up front, and we just couldn't take a chance of some of those guys back there not pitting, getting in dirty air. I don't think we could have overcome it even with tires. So that was a call we needed to make from where we were running, and I think we got a driver and a car that can get it done.
He's on the good side of the field right now, Mike.
And the guy trying to catch him is Brad Keselowski. His crew chief is Paul Wolf, and it seems like your challenge is twofold. You got to get by Kyle Busch, and at the same time, you got to hold off those guys with fresh tires. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's always tough. It seems like every race it's coming down to this with the late race cautions, and what do? Stay out or come in? And we just feel like these tires have been firing off pretty good. It takes a lot of laps for them to get their best lap. So we felt, Discount Tire Dodge has been solid all day, and the guys have done a great job. So we elected to stay out, and I think this last caution here should play into our favor.
All right, let's go to Shannon.
Nick Harrison calling the shots for Ryan Newman on this one team. You guys have overcome problems on pit road. You're currently on 2 fresh tires. Those are some fast cars in front of you. Do you have what it takes to get this victory today?
I think so. We've been as fast as them guys on the long run, just not on the short run. And we put 2 rights on. The 18 and 22 stayed out. The 20 and 27 been strong all day. And we put some air in the right side tires. Hopefully we got enough what it takes.
All right, he said they're better on the long run, guys. It looks like we're only going to have 5 laps to go.
Shannon, Kevin Kidd sounded like he encouraged the driver to get a better restart this time. Is that what he needs to win?
Yeah, absolutely. We need a good restart just to get going on things, just to put ourselves in position to be able to capitalize on any mistakes those 2 guys do. We've got a little fresher tires than them. I think we have a chance at it. I know I got a hungry driver. I think we can do it.
Thanks, Kevin. Hey, we've had an eclectic group watching from the pit studio today. Who do you guys think can win it?
Well, that is the question. Tires, no tires, fuel. Do we have enough fuel? Brian Vickers is in here with us. Who do you think wins this?
If Kyle can get clear and he can get clean air, I think he's going to win the race. If he doesn't get clear and Brad pinches him down and holds him down, I think those guys with tires are going to be coming faster.
I was really surprised that Brad was able to keep up with him on that restart, but Kyle Busch drove that car so hard into the corner. I think Kyle Busch wins this race.
He is hard.
Again, he gets another opportunity to win.
He is hard to bet against. 4 wins already this season. If he wins today, he ties Mark Martin with 6 wins, most wins at this track. AB, what do you guys think?
I think anytime you tie Mark Martin, you've really accomplished something.
Yeah,
first of all.
they really went out on a limb down there, didn't they, Kyle Busch? I think, Keselowski has a shot at this. I think he's got a car that can win, and I think he's one of those guys that just, when the money's out there, he'll go for it.
Just like Brian said, though, if Keselowski can stay there on his quarter panel, look for either Logano or Biffle to have an opening to make it 3 wide. Then it does get fun.
4 laps to go to settle this one in Charlotte.
Backside, you're clear. One back behind the 32.
Kyle got him cleared. And Joey Logano after Keselowski for second. And that's something Kyle wants to see.
That's exactly working right into his hand right now. Logano does have 2 fresh tires, but Keselowski's going to take that second wall behind him.
We got another car. Looks like it might
Jeremy
be Legacy.
Clements.
It is a 43 car.
Is it
Legacy?
Yep, no caution yet.
Still green.
Now the caution is out. That was Scott Lagacy, my error. Similarly painted cars. He got together with Trevor Bayne at the back of that group of cars in that outside lane and wound up in the outside wall. And we're going to re-rack it and do it again.
And this will take us into some extra laps. This is just what Kyle Busch's crew chief did not want to see. Jason Ratcliffe said they were kind of close on fuel and they don't want to go extra laps, but they've run a lot of these laps at caution speed, so this should extend their range. Yeah. If they felt good about it, they should be okay.
Looking ahead from Trevor Bayne.
Well, looks like they just did it simultaneous. Yeah. Synchronized crashing right there. It's been an interesting last 100 laps of the race for young Mr. Trevor Bayne here in Charlotte.
Yeah,
he's finding out what this racetrack is like in the sunlight. So.
Yeah, he started out on the front row, but it's been an uphill struggle from there.
He got the hat trick today. So, the caution flag out once again as Kyle Busch had cleared Brad Keselowski, and the reaction in the 18 teams pit when they saw the yellow flag was,
oh no. I think we got to do it again.
These guys keep this thing going straight. What's wrong?
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Jason Ratcliffe looking up and saying, okay, please don't sputter.
Yeah.
Please let this work out.
Yeah. We could go to up to three of these green-white checkers. That's where it would get interesting.
I'm pretty sure if we'd have been looking inside the car, that Kyle was probably throwing his hands up too at the same time.
Yeah. So, while they clean up some of the debris up in turn 4 and get some of the vacuum trucks and sweeper trucks out on the racetrack, Dave, what do you got?
Just listening to the 18 radio and Jason Ratcliffe telling his driver, save, and then laughing, just in case we get a few more shots at this thing. Got to have enough fuel to do it.
Yep, they don't run very well without fuel in them. So, Kyle Busch cleared Brad Keselowski on that last restart. Might we remind you, I love these kind of numbers, Brad Keselowski's won twice this season. Both of those wins were last lap passes.
Uh-huh. he might have a chance to do another one here.
He didn't lead at the white flag, but he led at the checkers. So
he's in position.
We'll see what happens here. So we're setting up for the first attempt officially for a green-white checker finish. If you're new to NASCAR, the rules are that if the caution flag comes out and would be on the track when the race reaches its scheduled distance, the NASCAR will make an attempt at giving the fans a green flag finish. So they'll do a green-white checker finish. Wave the green flag, they race one lap, they get the white flag, they race one lap, they get the checkered flag. They'll do that up to 3 times. If at any point in that process the leader takes the white flag under green, then the race is over should the caution wave after that.
There's been 4 green-white checkers in 2010. Brad Keselowski's won 2 of them. Yep. Kyle Busch has won 2 of them.
There you go.
So here, we'll see what happens. this is a tiebreaker.
So you think those guys down in the pit studio are sticking with their Kyle pick right now?
I think they will. I think they feel pretty good about it. After that last restart, they ought to.
Yeah. So the question becomes, at this point, how long does it take him to clean the track up? Do Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski have enough fuel to
well, you look at that graphic, you'd say no, but, you know, that's a calculated thing that we put up there.
You know, one thing we've talked about is, you know, his crew chief, Kyle Busch, is telling him to save fuel. The question is, how do you do that in the caution? A couple things. One, you can put the car in fourth gear. You heard on that audio, the in-car audio there, the engine kind of lugging a little bit. That's from Kyle driving around the racetrack in fourth gear, keeping that RPM as low as possible. Another thing you may have saw him do a couple times is pull up next to the pace car, shut the engine off, and then coast for a bit, and you'll see it fall back, and then he starts back up. Starts it back up, he pulls back up.
Look at it here, Brian, with Kyle doing just what you're describing. Get a little run, shut her down.
And under a long caution, you do that a couple times, you end up covering the whole racetrack, and you saved a whole lap of fuel right there, not to mention him also running in the very high gear. I
remember Tony Stewart doing that at Pocono under green. He didn't actually shut it off, but he would go out there and push the clutch in and let it coast for a long, long way trying to save fuel. A lot of ways to do that.
All right, so let's reset it. Fuel is close on the top two.
And here's the critical thing, too. The fuel, this is the worst time, the restarts, because they're going through the banking. Right now, you'll see that those cars are tilted quite a bit to the left. Well, all the fuel's running down away from the fuel pickup, which is in the right rear corner. And if it gets any air in that line, it could actually stumble, or they'll even think it's vapor lock. And we saw that happen to Kyle Busch with his truck at Dover. That can happen right here if they're not careful. That's what I worry about more than anything as a crew chief.
The green flag is going to wave at the conclusion of the 201st lap. Green, white checker number 1. Can Keselowski stay with Kyle Busch this time?
At the door. At the door. The pole kind of even. About a half lane between us. You got a shove here. You're clear. 9. You're still clear.
Kyle Busch clear, with Joey Logano again racing Keselowski for second. Keep an eye on that 12th car back there on the inside.
Yeah, he's got 4 tires. He's come from 12th spot all the way up to now the 5th spot.
Justin Allgaier trying to make a late push.
And here comes the white flag for Kyle Busch. This is what he's been looking for.
So if a wreck happens now, the race is over. Can Keselowski make any kind of a charge on Kyle?
And does he have enough fuel to make this last lap?
They're 3 wide, deeper in the pack.
Oh, tight, they touched. Off turn 2.
Biffle into the wall. No caution yet. Keselowski running deep on the outside.
Make a run at him.
Here he comes up to Kyle's bumper, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh, yeah,
Kyle Busch wins again at Charlotte.
Justin Allgaier was able to get by Ryan Newman right at the line, 4th.
Good job, guys.
Wow. So, the fuel held up. He got clear of Keselowski. The caution didn't come out, make him do another green-white checker restart. And for Kyle Busch, his 5th win of 2010, the most of all drivers. And quite a bit of excitement in behind the leaders on that last lap. That maybe leading to some tempers here on the cool-down lap.
Yeah, I don't know what happened over there with Biffle, but definitely somehow he got forced up into the wall. Not sure if it was Harvick. I couldn't tell who they got together with.
Got a lot of damage you can see.
Yeah, it may have been him and Harvick, and I think there was actually another car involved. It could have been a 3 wide thing that happened off turn 2 behind the leaders.
Let's have a look here. There's Biffle, and Harvick shoots the gap.
Oh,
wow.
Man. It's had a big run. I don't think Biffle had any idea he was coming.
Well, what can you say about Kyle Busch? I mentioned it a little bit ago. Anytime you tie Mark Martin in the NASCAR Nationwide Series record books,
oh man, you've done something great.
And he ties Mark Martin for most wins at this racetrack. And check the average out. 6 wins in 14 tries.
Yeah, wow.
Dave, I'm sure Jason Ratcliffe is breathing a big sigh of relief right now.
Well, Alan, now we know what the right call was, don't we?
Yeah.
But were you nervous?
Oh, yeah. Those things are nerve-wracking, man, but they're fun. That's why we do this. That was a barn burner for sure, but fans got their money's worth on that one. Yeah, staying out, definitely the right call. It looked like tires weren't worth much. If anything, track position was definitely worth everything there. But, man, I got to thank NOS Energy Drink. Got to thank Kyle for keeping us in the ball game there. When we had to pit on lap 47, got a couple laps down, drove that thing back up through there, and guys did a great job on pit road. And just, thank God for a beautiful May day. We thought it was going to rain. Man, this is awesome.
Everything seemed to work out today, Alan.
So for Kyle Busch, the victory today here at Charlotte. Let's see, speeding penalty on pit road. Pit crew got him back to the race lead. They made the late call to stay on the track. The fuel held up. And Kyle Busch is going to go to victory lane. We will get his post-race thoughts when we come back to Charlotte in just a minute. File out after watching a pretty exciting afternoon of action for Kyle Busch. An early penalty, a rally from behind with the help of his pit crew, a strategy call, and now it's off to Hellman's victory circle to hear from the race winner, Kyle Busch.
Well, Kyle's out of the car now, but a lot happened in that car today. And I've seen you count on your fingers before. Can you imagine all the things you overcame today to get to victory lane?
It's just, we don't like to make them too easy, I guess. It's, man, what a race car this was. This Joe Gibbs Racing Camry was awesome. Can't thank NOS enough. And Z-Line Designs, of course, Nationwide, Gillette, Marquee Jets, and Combos, for all the guys that support this Nationwide program for us. So it was really an awesome time. And we had a great race car. We just, in the beginning there, we were really, really loose. And, really, really tight. Then we made some changes, got really loose, and I was just trying to fight it and find out what I needed. And Jason made some good race calls there at the end and getting the car handling right and, of course, staying out, not coming down pit road. But, I also want to thank all the fans, too. It's cool.
Kyle, 2 in a row for you, and now you got to get out of this thing. What's that feel like?
It's a bummer, man. It's, I'd love to race them all, but, we've got bigger and better things on Sundays. So, we're going after that championship over there. We're second in points on that side, too. So we've got a good start to the season. We just need to finish it off. So hopefully the summer stretch will prove dividends for us by, missing some of these nationwide races. We can go concentrate on that deal and, make sure that the back and forth, we don't have to do those, and we can try to get some really good finishes.
Brad Coleman steps into this car next week. Kyle Busch leaves a trail of burnouts for him to follow.
So Kyle Busch with the win here today at Charlotte. Again, his 5th win of the season, the most of all drivers, and Kyle winning at this racetrack for, the 5th time in the last 6 tries. He loves this place. I don't think we even have to ask him about that. Let's check down with Greg Biffle, involved in that late skirmish with Mike Massaro.
Catching up now with Greg Biffle, who has a beaten and battered race car. What happened there on those closing laps?
I don't know. Those guys, we're all racing hard for position, and I'm not sure what happened. Somebody lost their car, I don't know. It just, that's racing. It just got away from whoever it was, I guess, or somebody ran into somebody. I don't know what happened, but somebody was driving a little bit over their head, or I don't know what happened. I got to go back and watch the tape.
You had a strong race car much of the day. What's it like for the day to end the way it did, knowing you had a much better race car than what the results will show?
Well, it's not only that, it's just my last race driving for these guys. This is, there for a while I thought we were going out with a win. I was going to say, how sweet is this going to be? 10 race deal with the Redman Ford Fusion and Baker Curb and go out with a win. But, we'd have been happy with the top 5 too. We had a good car. Had a lot of steam on the top there. And it was going to be neat. I was going to run the very top those last 2 laps, but never got a chance.
Greg Biffle walks away just a little bit disappointed today, guys.
And he walks away with a finish of 13th at the end of the day here in Charlotte, and his time in the 27 car on hold for now, pending future sponsorship. Well, the NASCAR Nationwide Series on to Music City next Saturday night, and on to some of the standalone races you see upcoming. If you'd like to join us at some of those races, you'll have a good time. Go to NASCAR.com/tickets. Check it out. Back with more post-race coverage from Charlotte in a minute. As the victory photos with the trophy are assembled here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, we check the championship standings in the NASCAR Nationwide Series after a dozen races. by Brad Keselowski, leading Kyle Busch by a single point. Remember, Kyle and Kevin are not going to run next week in Nashville, so it's really Brad leading Carl Edwards by 2:57. That's the important number. And did you know the point leader after 12 races has won the championship in 5 of the last 6 seasons? Good numbers for Mr. Keselowski, Shannon.
Well, here is your points leader, Brad Keselowski. Brad, I know you would rather be celebrating in victory lane right now, but how much fun are those races where it really comes down to one lap?
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun racing Kyle today. He's a really good competitor, and I'm really going to miss him not running next week. So, you know, we bring out the best and the worst in each other. So we had a strong day with our discount tire Dodge Charger. I felt like we had one more lap. We could have had a shot at it. The 18 and 20 did a great job working together on the restart, getting a good push away, and it was just enough to give them a one-lap cushion to where I couldn't pass them. So, you know, kudos to them. They did a great job, and so did my team. So we're doing everything we need to do. Still got the points lead, and that really means a lot to this team. It means a lot to me to go into Nashville with the points lead before some of the Cup guys quit. You know, just kind of proves that you know, we can do this, and that we're a legitimate team for the championship.
Brad Keselowski going to go get hydrated. He's got another 600 miles tomorrow. We're going to move over here to Joey Logano, who, of course, worked very well with your teammate, Kyle Busch, in victory lane. You gave him that push. How good was your car today?
Yeah, I felt like I might hold the 22 up just enough for 18 to win, but I thought our 2 tires was going to do something there for us, and yeah, I think it helped a little bit, but it wasn't a big enough swing, and we were just too tight. And you know, we tried to steal one by doing that move, and basically we were a third-place car all day. And you know, times we were better, times we were worse, but you know, that's where we deserve to finish. You know, it's tough, man. I want to win with this thing so bad, and we're gonna get there. Guys did good. Sport Clips was on the car this week, and Gordon Logan was here, so we want to thank him for being on the car. But man, I just want to get him a win. But we're getting close. We're getting close. Well,
maybe Kyle will share that trophy with you, because you definitely pushed him to the victory. Great day for Joe Gibbs Racing, Alan.
I saw Joey shake his head there. No, he's not sharing that trophy with me. And yet Joey Logano with a strong run and a big push to get that 18 through on that last restart. We came on the air at the top of the day talking about how whoever won this race, the crew chief was going to have to work and work and work all day long. Andy, Jason Ratcliffe sure did.
Yeah, he earned this win. They had the problem with the car in that first run where they had to come in and make a green flag stop and make a big adjustment. Then they got called with a penalty, so they had to overcome that. And then they had to make those calls that make you pull your hair out at the end of the race to stay out on the track and not come in with the other cars coming down pit road. That was pretty gutsy.
Pull it out in 2 fistfuls at a time. And for some of the young drivers, first time they've ever run a daytime race at this racetrack. And we talked about what a tricky, demanding, challenging track it is. Kyle Busch showed a lot of patience today, and a lot of the other drivers really showed a lot of ability to look around and solve this riddle.
Yeah, because it is just a totally different racetrack. There were a lot of these guys that had never seen this racetrack during the day. Maybe some practice time that they really weren't thinking about that happening for them. So Kyle Busch did a tremendous job working on his car, overcoming the adversity. You know, he created some of it, but he was able to come back from that. And we know that he has the talent and all of that to do it. His crew chief made the right call. So some other guys got some valuable experience out there, too, in learning what a racetrack does over 300 miles in these types of situations.
What was the former promoter here, Humpy Wheeler, tagged this place the Beast of the Southeast?
Yeah,
it was a beast to some of these guys today. And Kyle Busch wound up mastering that one, and he is in victory lane. Of course, it's the beginning of our weekend doubleheader of auto racing on ABC. Tomorrow, it is the 94th running of the Indianapolis 500. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. We start at noon Eastern time. Canelio Castroneves win a 4th Indianapolis 500. That should be a great race. The weather forecast is good. We look forward to the Indy 500 tomorrow here on ABC. Let's go back down to pit road to another guy who had a remarkable rally today. Shannon?
Well, Alan, despite some troubles on pit road, Justin Allgaier top 5 finish. But the thing you got to remember is the next couple weeks, these Cup guys are going to be doing double duty, and you are not. How much momentum does this top 5 give you going into these standalone events?
Well, it gives us a lot of momentum. You know, the Verizon Dodge guys do a great job week in and week out. Like you said, we battled adversity tonight, but we came back. We got a great finish. I feel like it had the caution not kept coming on at the end there. We could have really come to the field. Putting on 4, I think, was the right call. But just got to thank all the guys here. I mean, they do a great job, and thank Verizon and Nationwide. I mean, this is so much fun, and this is why we come out and do what we do. But also got to say for everybody out there to remember Memorial Day. This is a big weekend for our troops, and just remember everybody that if you know somebody, remember them, because this is a big weekend for everybody here.
Very well put. Great day for Penske Racing. Mike?
And another driver who battled through some adversity today was the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman. Had a pit stop error midway through this race, dropped you back to about 12th in the field, yet you rallied back for a top 5 today. How were you able to do it?
Well, we had a really fast race car, but primarily on the long runs, so it took us those long runs to get spooled back up again, and we struggled at the short run. And, 2 top 5s, 2 races at Phoenix Racing, and pit road pets on the hood, so it's pretty cool to have my dogs on the hood of the race car. And we had a shot on it, just didn't get going quick enough on those restarts, the green, white checkers and stuff there that we had to be able to have a good run on the outside to pass anybody.
Another strong run for Ryan Newman, Dave.
Well, Brian Eichler didn't get the finish he wanted, but he might have gotten the start he wanted, his first one for Roush Fenway Racing. What was the day like, and what was the conversation with Jack like afterwards?
We had a good day. We're real happy to have Conway Fred on board with us this weekend. Our 16 Ford Fusion was pretty good all day. There wasn't a scratch on her all day, and got a little bit roughed up there at the end. But finished in the top 15. We're all happy. Jack Campen told me keep my head high, and there'll be good races to come.
All right, and his next one to come is next week at Nashville, and then who knows? Nicole?
All right, Dave. Well, the one thing that stands out to me is Kyle Busch, with this 5th win this season, is now 3rd all-time on the Nationwide Series wins list. He's 1 race win behind the guy who's in 2nd. That would be Kevin Harvick. Neither one of those guys running for the championship this year, and that really is what it is all about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'd like to say I did pick Kyle Busch to win this race.
I think you both did, actually.
Yeah, so I'll take that. And what an absolutely great run by Justin Allgaier. Started 12th, come back to 4th. But to speak to your point, he will run more races, and Kyle Busch will break all of the records, I do believe, in the Nationwide Series. He's just so good when he's in this race car, and we look forward to having him back. He's going to be off for a little while, but when he's around, it's a lot of fun to watch.
You're in the car next to him, driving with him. What is it about Kyle Busch?
Yeah, he does a good job, and as he's gotten older, as he's matured more, he's able to finish these races off and not make the mistakes. That mistake in the middle of the race probably would have spun him out at one point in his career, and now he can come back from that and overcome that. He's also with an incredible team. You got to give a little credit to Joe Gibbs and that whole organization. I mean, those cars are fast no matter who gets them, who gets in that car. I think you're going to see that over the next couple of weeks. They're still going to be running up front.
And as we look down the next couple of weeks, guys like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick stepping out of the car in favor of some nationwide-only drivers, and we go to some standalone events. What can we expect next week in Nashville?
Well, I think it's great. We got Brad Coleman's going to step in and drive for Kyle Busch, and then we've got young Coleman Presley, who's going to be running with Junior Motorsports. I think it's good to see these new young, talented guys, give them an opportunity to mix it up and get their feet wet and start their careers.
Well, another guy who today had a very strong run, started 40th but finished 7th. Dave Burns is with that nationwide regular, Jason Leffler.
Yep, it's another good day for him, Nicole, and you just got to look at the combination that you guys have started. What else, Jason, that we missed today that you knew in the race car you'd had a great car?
Yeah, I mean, obviously starting 40th, it was hard to convince everybody we did, but it was awesome. The ABF Camry, we drove right up there, and we got tight the last 2 runs, so we weren't able to hold our position, but a top 10's great. I got to thank Trip Bruce, all the guys, everybody at Braun, and Terry Cook for spotting for me, and say hi to Charlie and everybody up in Indiana.
Another top 10 for Jason Leffler. Nicole?
Well, we talked a little bit about Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, they finished 1st and 3rd. The cars finishing 2nd and 4th. Penske cars, both in the top 5 for the 3rd time this season, and they have completed all but just 1 lap in 2010.
Showed a lot of strength, Brad Keselowski, in particular on those last few restarts, keeping up with those Gibbs cars. We know those Gibbs cars are fast, but he showed some good horsepower. So, yeah, they're doing a great job. Brad Keselowski's put himself in great position to win this championship by racing very smart, and it's fun to watch.
It really is. He's, I saw he showed a lot of restraint through this race. Restraint that he didn't have a year ago. When he got to those lap cars, he raced smart. When he got to the end of the race, he raced smart. He raced like he was racing for a championship.
Yeah.
Obviously, those guys falling out of the championship is going to give him, more opportunity to win that. But he's proven that he can lead this championship even when they're still racing.
And of course, you've been in here with us all day as a former champion, as a driver who has to take a little bit of time off away from the car. What's it been like to sit back and watch?
It's been tough. I want to thank everyone at ESPN and all you guys for having me on board. I've had a lot of fun. I've learned a lot sitting in here. I've learned a lot of what you guys do. Wow, it's hectic back here behind this ear. But it's incredible the production you guys put on. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. And also in closing, I want to just remind all the fans, when you get a chance, if you see a veteran, thank them, because you watch this race today. It's Memorial Day coming up, and you watch this race today because someone gave the ultimate sacrifice, so we have the freedom to do this.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And, man, good luck till you get healthy.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you back in the racetrack.
And what do you think as we close this out?
Well, it's been a great day. It's a great weekend, Memorial Day weekend, obviously, and we are so thankful. We're blessed to have this opportunity to be here, to be free, to enjoy, to watch NASCAR racing on this weekend, and I'm so thankful to all the armed troops, men and women who protect us and give us these freedoms.
I second that, and that pretty much wraps it up from us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Make sure to turn in next weekend. It is a standalone event, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville, presented by Pennzoil at 7. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got the 94th Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Congrats once again to Kyle Busch.